Chapter 69 Savage Clash. Chapter 69 Savage Clash. The forest in All-Beast Mountain Range's third area was so thick it blotted out the sun. It was also packed with vicious spiritual beasts that roared at any passing moment. It painted such a gruesome picture that struck terror in any who were intent in setting foot inside. Suddenly, a low bush stirred despite the lack of wind. Zhuofan's party stuck to the ground as they crawled, making use of the bushes as cover. They did take energy-concealing pills, but unlike the previous areas, if any spiritual beast saw them here, it spelled doom. As such, this was the only viable way to advance, moving at a crawl 3,000 miles inland. With each roar and cry, fear struck, soaking their brows with sweat. Blast it! We'll never get anywhere crawling like this. After half a day of wiggling through 10 miles, Xie Tianyang complained and sat with arms crossed. I'm not doing it anymore. It's too lame. Besides, you think a 5th-level spiritual beast lies at every corner? Fool, get down before it's too late. Zhuofan cursed. Xie Tianyang smirked in disdain. How will that help? With how tall the fauna is here, you think they'll spot us at a glance. Roar. In reply to his disdain, a reverberating roar deafened the trio. They turned to see 5 towering trees being pushed to the ground. A 50-meter-tall black bear appeared. Seeing its meal, the black bear roared with bared fangs and bloodthirsty eyes. 4th-level spiritual beast, Mad Storm Bear. Zhuofan cried as the trio shook in fear. Xie Tianyang was even rooted in place. Before the bear could jump on its prey, a tail thick as a bucket coiled around its body. The bear was squeezed and thrown into the heavens above as its pitiful cry grew faint. When it came back down, a maw opened wide and swallowed it whole. As the maw closed, blood sprayed in the surroundings, forming a pool beneath it. Even Zhuofan felt a shiver of fear. That was a 30-meter-long python with a scarlet crest and rock-hard scales. Its cold eyes flashed, on the prowl for the next meal. 5th-level spiritual beast, Diamond Crest Python. Run! Zhuofan yelled as he sped up his crawling, and the other two worked to catch up. Even Xie Tianyang disregarded his sorry state and crawled with them. He came face to face to the horrors of this area. One slip and he was a goner. It was plainly obvious why even a Radiant stage expert would die here. When the Diamond Crest Python ate the bear, because of its bulk, it didn't notice the trio and left after its meal. Damn you, Zhuofan. I must have been insane for agreeing to come with you to this hell. Xie Tianyang worked his all not only to crawl but also to complain on and on, afraid he would soon lose his life without venting. He was on the verge of tears. He had heard this place was savage, but not to this extent. If he tried to even stand taller than waist height, he'd soon find danger setting its sights on him. Zhuofan mocked, "No one told you to come. Why don't you crawl your way back?" Xie Tianyang was looking at the sky. Curses, the sun is setting. Nocturnal spiritual beasts will be on the hunt soon, and crawling won't work against them. I'll be dead in a second. Better stick to Zhuofan. He would set up an array and no spiritual beast would wander in. Annoyed, Xie Tianyang had an edge in his voice. Since I'm in the same boat as you, once I wander back it will be plain suicide. Zhuofan and Xuaningxiang shook their heads. Then the trio's schedule was crawling by day, and ducking under an array at night. And after a month they finally crawled through 3,000 miles till their limbs and waist went sore. The good news was that the closer they got, the fewer the spiritual beasts spotted. Zhuofan knew they entered the territory of those 6th-level spiritual beasts, where no weaker beast would dare step a paw in. In the third area, 6th-level spiritual beasts were kings. If they found some oblivious beastie wandering into their domain, they'd chase it even for 1,000 miles, all to preserve a king's dignity, especially if humans were involved. Stretching and exhaling, Zhuofan felt a bit better. Despite his relaxed manner, Xie Tianyang had his eyes peeled as he cautiously rose to his feet. We can stand here. Zhuofan nodded with a smile. On our way here, there were too many eyes and ears on the lookout for any movement, so we crawled to avoid the spiritual beasts. Here though is the domain of 6th-level spiritual beasts. Hiding will be much more effective than crawling in this place. Xie Tianyang finally found safety for the first time in a month and smiled. So it's much safer here than other places. Zhuofan arched an eyebrow. You can say that, but we'll die even faster bumping into a 6th-level spiritual beast. Xie Tianyang's smile vanished and his tone held some bite. Then what the hell are we doing here? Tame them? How? Zhuofan smiled with confidence. He had considered this point a long time ago. He came to such a deadly place as the 3rd area with a plan. He only needed to slip a bloodworm into the Thunder Skylark and all was well. But the problem was how. Rumble. Zhuofan was cooking up a plan when a sudden noise shook the world. The trio felt the earth shaking beneath their feet. They blinked in shock. This had to be from another devastating clash of spiritual beasts. But throughout their crawling, never had they heard a sound so loud. Not even when 2 5th-level spiritual beasts fought. There could only be one answer. 6th-level spiritual beasts. They shouted in unison. It seems to be coming from that direction. Zhuofan ran straight for it while Xie Tianyang yelled nervously, "Those beasts will tear you to pieces." Zhuofan smirked. If one of them was the Thunder Skylark, it'd be perfect. He'd lay in wait and make use of the perfect opportunity to strike. Xuaningxiang remained quiet and followed him closely. Wherever Zhuofan went, she would be close by. So Xie Tianyang had no choice but to join them. 15 minutes later, the trio heard a thunderclap in the sky and the roaring flames. The 3 huddled behind a large rock in a small valley and peeked above, but the sight took their breath away. 2 spiritual beasts flew high up, both 6th-level spiritual beasts. One was a deep blue-colored bird with a 15-meter-long body and a wingspan of 20 meters. Lightning traveled along its body as it cracked the air. Despite being smaller in size, even compared with a 5th-level spiritual beast, its every wing beat covered the sky in lightning and wind blades that struck the rocks in the valley to pieces. A 5th-level spiritual beast would be crushed by such display. Thunder Skylark. Zhuofan squinted. He didn't lie to me. Thunder Skylark's nest is here. He then turned to the other spiritual beast. It was a flying lion wreathed in scarlet flames. Its mane was on fire and it had 30-meter-long wings of flames, half as long as his body. A flap of its wings sent fire to engulf the skies and burn the whole valley to a crisp. 6th-level spiritual beast. Flaming Lion King. Zhuofan's heart tightened. The Flaming Lion King was as powerful as a 7th-level spiritual beast, putting the Thunder Skylark at a disadvantage. He had thought that if the Thunder Skylark was tangled with another 6th-level spiritual beast, he'd play the fisherman and make the bird swallow a bloodworm during the confusion. Pity that it was facing Flaming Lion King. The Thunder Skylark would likely be defeated and killed. But wouldn't that bore a large hole in his plans? No, I have to help it. But how? This savage battle is no different than a Radiant Stage expert's fight. Getting involved will only get me killed. Boom! As Zhuofan was musing a plan, the 2 beasts clashed again. Flaming Lion King spat a fireball while Thunder Skylark sent a thunderstorm with a flap of its wings, intending to crush it. But then Flaming Lion King rammed its huge body into the frail Thunder Skylark. The bird cried out and tumbled around in the air. Zhuofan secretly sighed. Sure enough, the Thunder Skylark was just as adept at using her attribute like the Flaming Lion King, but her body lacked power in contrast. It would die if this went on. Big Brother Zhua, can you help the poor birdie? Xuaningxiang turned her puppy eyes to him. Zhuofan was this close to spewing blood. Birdie? Well, it does belong to the swallow type, but it's a spiritual beast nonetheless. Regardless, just how exactly is that thing small? But Xuaningxiang's pleas echoed his thoughts. The Thunder Skylark must survive. Chapter 70 Divine Azure Flame. Chapter 70 Divine Azure Flame. Ninger, we can't just interfere in a battle of 6th-level spiritual beasts. Xuaningxiang felt regret the moment she spoke up. Over these few months, Xie Tianyang never refused any of her wishes. Ignoring the fact that our strength is not nearly enough, just from how fiercely these 6th-level spiritual beasts are clashing, one can tell it is not over food but territory. You couldn't interfere even if they were people, not knowing who is wrong or right. We can't just risk our lives for them. Zhuofan lifted an eyebrow as he gave Xie Tianyang a deeper look. In the end, he comes from the 7 houses and knows what battles between great powers implies. If I didn't need the Thunder Skylark so badly, I wouldn't get involved either. But Xuaningxiang's expression was filled with worry. But that birdie isn't fighting over territory, it's to protect her young. Zhuofan looked again and saw a nest below the Thunder Skylark holding 5 huge eggs. Flaming Lion King was powerful enough, but the Thunder Skylark's speed was astonishing. It could leave just like that if it wanted to, but the Lion King caught it between a rock and a hard place, battering it again and again until it was filled with wounds, all because it was worried about harming her eggs. Now that Zhuofan got the whole picture, he hatched a plan to help the Thunder Skylark. She is one big mother. Zhuofan sighed, Ninger, worry not. See how I get that birdie out of trouble. Xuaningxiang became overjoyed while Xie Tianyang was skeptical. Hypocrite, since when were you so selfless? This guy has a callous heart and betrays his friends at a drop of the hat. Since when did he start sticking his head out for someone else? A savage beast no less. Oh, Xie Tianyang, how can you understand me? I am in fact a man with love in his heart. Wait for a bit, I will need your help soon. Screw you. If you have love, I'm a saint. Xie Tianyang retorted in derision, but then he said in shock, I got it. You want the Thunder Skylark. Zhuofan perked an eyebrow and nodded, ha ha ha. You've started using your head more since teaming up with me. Curses. I almost got used by you again. Xie Tianyang spat. If you want to get the Thunder Skylark, leave me out of it. Zhuofan shrugged, then gave Xuaningxiang a long look. Xuaningxiang nodded and showed her doe eyes as she shook Xie Tianyang's arm. Big brother Xie, go with big brother Zhua. The birdie and her young are so pitiful. Xie Tianyang felt like crying. The birdie is pitiful? One flap from it will tear me apart. Why aren't you feeling sorry for me? Lacking any choice in the matter, Xie Tianyang nodded. He was still feeling guilty for what happened to Xuaningxiang and would agree to any of her requests. At his nod, Xuaningxiang exploded into a sparkling smile and Zhuofan grinned at the side. Zhuofan, watch it. If you throw me away, I will make you pay. Xie Tianyang glared, but Zhuofan just shook his head. Take it easy. When I use someone, I make sure they won't ever get the chance to come back to bite me. What? Xie Tianyang exclaimed. Zhuofan just laughed and patted his shoulder. After warning Xuaningxiang to hide and not get discovered, Zhuofan and Xie Tianyang sneaked towards the eggs. The two were able to sneak thanks to the energy-concealing pill. As the beasts raged, lightning and flames collided, rocking the valley like a boat. Zhuofan and Xie Tianyang crept up cautiously below the raging storm. Each time the boom drew closer, it gripped their hearts in a vice and soaked their brows with sweat. One stray fireball or lightning could become the end for them both. Luckily enough, they reached the eggs without a scratch. Below the Thunder Skylark, it was both the most dangerous and safest place. What now? Xie Tianyang looked above at the flashing figures engaged in a fierce battle. Zhuofan explained his plan with a smile. While the Thunder Skylark isn't paying attention, we will hide the eggs. When it finds out that its eggs are gone, it will no longer fight and rush to search for its young. Since it is faster than the lion, we will thus save its life. Good plan. Xie Tianyang spoke in a low voice and gave him a thumbs up. Zhuofan then indicated to lift the nest together. While the heavens were swept by a storm, 2 bandits were making away with the entire nest from right under everyone's noses. Seeing this, Xuaningxiang sported a wide smile. Suddenly, Flaming Lion King gained altitude, breaking away from the bird while the Thunder Skylark kept a closer eye on its movements. As Zhuofan was carrying the nest, he found that the shadows on the ground were much bigger, and that the sky had turned silent. Startled, he stopped and looked up. He was met with the large eyes of the Flaming Lion King. He also noticed that the lion's eyes were ridiculing him. Zhuofan shouted in panic, "That savage found us, run!" But the eggs, Xie Tianyang was nervous. What eggs? Just throw them. Ignoring Xie Tianyang, Zhuofan tossed the nest and the 5 eggs to the ground. Since they were spiritual beast eggs, they wouldn't break so easily. Startled by Zhuofan's yell, the Thunder Skylark looked in time to see her 5 young thrown on the ground and rushed in anger. Boom! Then a ball of fire passed close to the Thunder Skylark. The flaming Lion King wasn't aiming for it but the 5 eggs. With a cry, the thunder skylark flew like lightning and used her body to block the fireball. Zhuofan let out a mental sigh. Not for thunder skylark's sacrifice, but the lion's cunningness. It knew that the thunder skylark was fast as lightning, which proved it difficult to land a heavy blow. But those eggs couldn't move and were the perfect means to cripple the thunder skylark's speed. Attacking what one defended was the best plan. The flaming Lion King laughed in glee and spat another ball of flame. Thunder Skylark used her lightning to stop it, but, with the eggs scattered, another ball of fire was closing in on another egg. Thus she was forced to fly all over to defend them. The flaming Lion King, which was hovering above, roared and sneered. We made it worse. We hastened the Thunder Skylark's end. Darting back to Xuaningxiang, Zhuofan sighed. Despite not liking it, he spoke with determination. Let's go. If we wait for Thunder Skylark to die, the crazy lion will come after us. Zhuofan and Xiaotanyang grabbed Xuaningxiang's arm, but she stood rooted to the spot, watching the Thunder Skylark darting to and fro as tears fell down her cheeks. Zhuofan sighed. He had no way to help the bird now. Let it go, Ninger. We need to leave. Zhuofan furrowed his brows and urged, but Xuaningxiang shook her head. Boom! After fending off 24 fireballs, the Thunder Skylark let out a mournful cry and fell tired and wounded in a large crater. The flaming Lion King charged with its claw, aiming for the bird's throat. No! Xuaningxiang broke away from the two's grasp and rushed to defend the Thunder Skylark. The cold wind from flaming Lion King's attack fanned her fine black hair, but her eyes remained unwavering. Zhuofan and Xiaotanyang rushed over, alarmed. Both forgot that they would soon be 2 more corpses added to the pile, that it wouldn't make a difference. Even Zhuofan lost his calculative mind. The 3 only knew to not abandon the other. Ninger, I will accompany you in death. Xiaotanyang roared as he threw himself in front of her. Zhuofan flashed in front of the 2, but his eyes were fixed on the flaming Lion King. He was the demonic emperor. Even in death he would stare down his enemy. Dumb humans, your flesh won't stop this king's claw. The flaming Lion King opened its mouth and sneered. As its claw drew close, its killing intent made the trio shiver. But just when the claw was about to touch Zhuofan's face, an azure flame came out of Zhuofan's forehead and a shocking power shrouded the entire all-beast mountain range. The spiritual beasts were left shivering and lowered their proud heads. Even those fighting bent their knees. Flaming Lion King stopped its claw and watched the swaying flame as it trembled in fear. Chapter 71 Got an Egg. Chapter 71 Got an Egg. The azure flame was as small as a candle's, flickering in the wind in front of Zhuofan's forehead. But with each sway, the flaming Lion King's eyes shivered, as if it saw its end. It then took back its claw and sped away in the form of a ball of fire. It scampered off with speed rather than dignity, so much so that it was even close to falling at some point. A 6th-level spiritual beast, a king in the all-beast mountain range, was now fleeing like a kitty while trembling from every joint. Frowning, Zhuofan touched his forehead, but the azure flame had already hidden inside. He only felt a faint warmth and concluded that it was connected to the expert who had appeared in his consciousness and touched him there. Hey Zhuofan, Xiaotanyang shook his arm as he questioned, Be honest with me, are you absolutely positive that you are human? Cut the crap, what else would I be, a demon? Zhuofan slapped Xiaotanyang's hand away. I've never seen a human scare a 6th-level spiritual beast with just a look. Xiaotanyang took deep breaths to calm down and continued, Did you see how scared it was when it saw you? As if afraid you would eat it whole. As brothers, you owe me an explanation. How many secrets are you hiding? Zhuofan rolled his eyes, then turned to Xuaningxiang. We were never brothers. Xiaotanyang froze, then he showed an awkward smile. But he was becoming more and more curious about Zhuofan. Coming next to Xuaningxiang, they saw her tear-stained face as she looked at the Thunder Skylark. The lion didn't take its life, but the birdie was too far gone to be saved. Unlike Xiaotanyang, she ignored the fleeing flaming Lion King and inspected the birdie's wounds. It won't make it. Zhuofan sent his Yuanqi to check its state, then sighed. His plan on getting a Thunder Skylark went up in smoke. Big brother Zhua, can you help her? Xuaningxiang looked at him with teary eyes, but he could only sigh. As a demonic emperor he had plenty of ways, but the current him was weak. Xuaningxiang began crying her heart out, tears falling down the thunder skylark's face. The bird opened its eyes and looked elsewhere. Xuaningxiang noticed and spotted an egg not too far. But the egg was burnt black. The thunder skylark gave its all before but was incapable of stopping every fireball. It wants her young. Let's go find them. Xuaningxiang cried. Zhuofan and Xie Tianyang searched around and soon gathered 4 scorched and lifeless eggs. Wasn't there one more? Xuaningxiang nervously asked. The two shook their heads. The last one was lost. They couldn't find it anywhere. Xuaningxiang was sorrowful, kneeling before the thunder skylark as she sobbed, "Forgive us. We are the ones who hurt you." The thunder skylark was always watching the 4 scorched eggs with teary eyes. Then her eyes flashed and moved her great body. From below her the last egg rolled out. It was intact but still had a few scorch marks on it. Zhuofan looked long at the thunder skylark and secretly nodded. Despite being forced to run around by the flaming Lion King, it knew what it had to do. It made sure to protect one egg without anyone knowing. And when it collapsed, it used its body to hide the egg, so that even if it was killed, the egg would survive. It gave its life to protect its young. Thinking about this, Zhuofan developed a deep respect for the bird. With a cry, the thunder skylark stared at Zhuofan, or, more specifically, his forehead. Then it turned to its egg with a hopeful gaze. "You want me to take it?" Zhuofan assumed. It nodded, eyes filled with warmth for the egg. Zhuofan picked it up and sighed. "It is badly burnt, and even if it hatches, it won't live for long. Unless..." He whispered the rest into the thunder skylark's ear. It was first startled, then nodded in gratitude. Turning to her young, the thunder skylark closed her eyes in peace. She could now rest easy knowing Zhuofan would look after it. Xuaningxiang saw its life fade away and was crying her heart out. Zhuofan and Xie Tianyang sighed. They didn't foresee her being so compassionate even towards a spiritual beast. They would, at most, hold some respect but never be so heartbroken about it. Ninger, it won't come back. Don't feel too sad about it." Zhuofan consoled. Yeah, I never knew you'd be so compassionate towards this thunder skylark just after meeting it once." Xie Tianyang laughed dryly and scratched his head, not knowing how to comfort the girl. Xuaningxiang wiped her tears and nose. "You guys misunderstood. It is a sad birdie, but I'm not crying for it. I was reminded of my home. Her appearance made me recall my dad protecting me every step of the way, taking care of me." The other two smiled dejectedly. It seems this girl was reminiscing. No wonder she was so touched. Since it's not for the bird, then I will take the thunder skylark's body." Zhuofan felt awkward as he stashed the body in his ring, but Xuaningxiang just nodded. Xie Tianyang, however, was aflame in anger. "Hey, why do you get to have a whole 6th-level spiritual beast's body?" A spiritual beast was a treasure in and of itself. The 6th-level spiritual beast bodies, in particular, made for great refining materials. Even the 7 houses seldom got such an item, and Xie Tianyang regarded it greatly. Looking askance at him, Zhuofan stated, "You saw it giving me its egg. Its body is the same. You stay here with Ninger. I'll be right back." He left before Xie Tianyang could argue. Xie Tianyang wanted to follow Zhuofan, but seeing Ninger, he stayed. He was worried for her safety. Leaving her all alone in the woods was not wise, though it made little difference if he was there too. Whoosh! In a secluded spot, Zhuofan took out the egg, the thunder skylark's body, and some black rocks. He began circulating his yuan qi, and his hand burned scarlet. This was a cultivator's most basic yuan qi flame, weak in battle but useful in refining. And those black rocks were spatial stones used in making storage rings. These rocks were very rare even with all the spatial rock mines in control of the 7 houses and the imperial family. But thanks to Veiled Dragon Pavilion and imperial family endorsing the Luo clan, he got his hand on a few. And right now he was planning on refining a beast-holding ring. It was far more complex to refine than a storage ring, and the Great Sex had a tight lock on any refining methods regarding them. Furthermore, it could even store spiritual energy. As spiritual beasts were nurtured by the spiritual energy of the world, they were the best ingredient for refining items. Case in point, this egg came from the thunder skylark, and its spiritual energy would help it recover. If not for this, Shuofan was unsure if he could even hatch it. Now that the thunder skylark was dead, he desperately needed to hatch the egg and make it his demonic creature in order to enter the lightning canyon. For this, Shuofan spoke a few words to the dying thunder skylark, and it agreed once it knew its broken body could help her young live. Either way, this was Shuofan's way of showing his respect for the mother. Also, he would have taken this course of action regardless of her decision. Shuofan pointed and the flame towered, fusing the ingredients with high-speed hand signs and a smile of satisfaction. He was close to fulfilling his objective. In the dead of night, stars glittered with Xuaningxiang and Xietianyang watching them bored out of their mind. As this was Thunder Skylark's territory, no 6th-level spiritual beast would wander here. It was the safest place for them. A sound broke the silence and Shuofan appeared next to them. Xuaningxiang ran to him in glee as Xietianyang looked him up and down. "What did you do with the corpse?" Shrugging, Shuofan was blunt. "Tore it and ate and used it." Xuaningxiang was startled by his reply and Xietianyang rushed to placate her. "Ninger, it's all right. The bodies of spiritual beasts are handled like this. But I don't know what he refined using it." Xietianyang knew Shuofan was an array master and an alchemist, so being a refiner on top wasn't that far-fetched. As Shuofan was gone for a day, he assumed Shuofan had refined something. "Hey, did you know today is Ninger's 16th birthday?" She was reminded of her family when the thunder skylark protected her egg and it made her cry. Shuofan took a long look at Xuaningxiang, who was blushing with a lowered head. "Ha ha ha, since it's her birthday, then I will give her a present." Shuofan revealed a ring that had lightning running across it. Then he took Xuaningxiang's hand and inserted the ring on her finger. "Oh. This is the storage ring I refined from the thunder skylark, Thunder Ring. I have one and you the other. They both are made as one, and are connected with each other." Shuofan raised his hand and sparks flashed across his ring. Xuaningxiang was overjoyed inside and blushed as she extended her fist with the ring on it. Shuofan did the same with his hand and the two rings let out crackling sounds. Xietianyang was filled with envy and roared, "Shuofan, d'you give me one too?" "I'm out." Shuofan deadpanned, "Is it your damn birthday too?" "No, but you have to give me one. Or the two of you a pair of rings." Xietianyang's face burned hot. He no longer cared about the value of the thunder ring, but that Shuofan and Xuaningxiang wore a unique pair of rings. Seeing through him, Shuofan sighed inwardly, "We've been through thick and thin together, so of course I have one for you." Shuofan then tossed him a ring. Xietianyang put it on in glee, then made a fist bump with Xuaningxiang. Each of them got a thunder ring which would only react when another was around. Shuofan spoke seriously. "What gift did you give Ninger?" Xietianyang started and scratched his head from having nothing of value on him. Suddenly he turned to the burrowing mouse and pointed. "Ninger likes playing with it, so I'm giving it to her." "Get lost, it has long stopped being yours." Shuofan jabbed. Xietianyang snapped in anger. "Isn't it all you're doing?" The two began quarreling while Xuaningxiang stood content at the side with a smile, absent-mindedly looking at the thunder ring. She wished the time would stop so that the three of them would stay worry-free. After a long night, they began their trek back first thing in the morning. But 10,000 miles out, a huge bird had its eye on each and every movement of theirs. Blue flames wreathed its body and with every flap of its wings, it flew deeper into the All-Beast Mountain range. Chapter 72 Shui Clan Patriarch. Chapter 72 Shui Clan Patriarch. The trio returned to the second area using the same method as before. Then they soon arrived at the first area. With the first step into safety, their hearts started easing up. Their thunder rings flashed with lightning from how close they were. "All that's left is to leave Blue Expanse City and we'll be safe." Shuofan looked in the city's direction with a smile. Although he didn't obtain the Thunder Skylark, he earned much more. Its egg and two dear friends in life and death moments. Xuaningxiang, however, was frowning, worry plaguing her heart. "But we offended the seventh elder. Won't he set a trap for us?" "Unlikely," Shuofan stated. He must have spared our lives because another greater danger was looming overhead, forcing him to flee. He must be thinking we've died at the hands of that scary thing. Thing what thing? Xie Tianyang asked. Zhuo Fan only shook his head. He was out like a light at that time and was unclear what happened. But when he woke up he saw the destruction around him and came to this conclusion. As for why they were luckily spared, ask heaven. In any case, sneaking out of the city is easy. Zhuo Fan smiled. Ninger, what will you do after we leave? I don't know. Xuaningxiang turned gloomy, but then she looked up at Zhuo Fan. Big brother Zhuo, I'll just go with you. Zhuo Fan started while Xie Tianyang became flustered and said, Ninger, how about you come with me to Sword Marquis's abode? Not only will your clansmen not come for you, but even Hell Valley's people wouldn't be able to take you from us. Xuaningxiang happily nodded. All right. Big brother Zhuo, why don't you also come? I've never seen the strong 7 noble houses of the Tianyu Empire. Xie Tianyang wasn't too pleased about it, but since Ninger was happy he also relented. Zhuo Fan, for Ninger, I will extend an invitation to visit my house as a guest. Zhuo Fan looked at them for a moment and shook his head. I cannot. I have other places to be. If fortune smiles, we will see each other again. The two were startled and hesitant about parting. Though Xie Tianyang and Zhuo Fan were like fire and water, arguing every day, they went through hell together and came out as brothers. Hey, I truly welcome you to my house. Think of your brother me and come. Zhuo Fan snickered. I already said, we aren't brothers. Sai, how can you? As Xie Tianyang was about to laugh it off, a crack was heard and a sudden pressure pushed down on them. No one is allowed to leave. Whoosh! A black figure appeared with long black and white hair. His long goatee fluttered in the wind, and his eyes flashed as they landed on the trio. Profound heaven expert. Zhuo Fan and Xie Tianyang were startled and protected Xuaningxiang with their bodies. Is it an elder from Hell Valley? I've never seen him. Zhuo Fan and Xie Tianyang whispered. What was certain though, this old man wanted to wring them dry. But then Xuaningxiang jumped out from between them and walked cautiously towards the man. Grandfather. Xie Tianyang was stumped while Zhuo Fan asked with a frown, your Shui clan's only profound heaven expert. Shui clan's patriarch, Xuedingtian. Turning a blind eye to the rotten kids in front, Xuedingtian looked over Xuaningxiang. Ninger, where did you run off these months? I looked all over for you. Xuaningxiang hung her head in guilt and mumbled, sorry for worrying you, grandfather. Xuedingtian sighed and tousled his dear grandchild's hair, then spat. Did any of these runts misbehave? Xuaningxiang knew where this was going and was embarrassed. Grandpa, what are you saying? Humph, then all is good. Xuedingtian rolled his eyes over Zhuo Fan and Xie Tianyang. Who was it that hurt my grandson, Xuegang? Him. Xie Tianyang didn't miss a beat in exposing Zhuo Fan. I only met Ninger after. I never saw your grandson. Rolling his eyes, Zhuo Fan could only blame his poor luck and friends. I didn't know he was Ninger's brother, so please forgive the offense, senior. Then you eloped with Ninger? Xuedingtian questioned Zhuo Fan. What elope? Xie Tianyang cried with a start and grabbed Zhuo Fan by the clothes. Zhuo Fan, explain it to me. Since when were you so close with Ninger? Xuedingtian glanced at Xie Tianyang and turned towards his granddaughter. Who is that kid to be even more pissed than me? Xuaningxiang glared at her grandpa, then hit her flaming cheeks with her hands. Grandpa is getting old, how could he mention something like that out of the blue? She was complaining inside, but her eyes sneaked a peek at Zhuo Fan. Wait, don't misunderstand. I only asked Ninger to show me the way and nothing else. Zhuo Fan gesticulated while shouting. Only then did Xie Tianyang stop. Xuedingtian stared down Zhuo Fan, but seeing no lies, he spoke. Good, in that case, I won't be hard on you on account on your time with my granddaughter. Come Ninger, let's go home. Xuedingtian pulled her. But Xuaningxiang turned to the two behind her. Xie Tianyang was getting anxious, wanting to stop them. Wait! Zhuo Fan shouted. Xuedingtian spoke in a cold tone. Is there something else, runt? You can't take Ninger, said Zhuo Fan with a stony expression. And I advise you don't return either. Xuedingtian frowned. What do you mean by that? I'll be frank. We offended the 7th elder of Hell Valley, and he recognized Ninger. I can guess he's now getting rowdy in the Shui clan. If you go back now you will die. Xue Dingtian was startled, then looked to see Xue Ningxiang nodding shyly. As if thunderstruck, Xue Dingtian trembled and stumbled backward before falling. Xue Ningxiang started crying and rushed to her grandpa. Grandfather, forgive me. Xue Dingtian tightened his fist as rage swallowed his heart. Then his killing intent-filled eyes landed on Zhuo Fan and Xie Tianyang. It's you who brought this disaster upon us. As long as I take you to the seventh elder, he will spare us. Saying so, he slapped towards Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan's foot moved a bit, making two of his phantoms appear near him. Then they immediately retreated in different directions. Xue Dingtian scattered the three retreating figures to dust with a wave of his hand, but the real one wasn't among them. The next moment, Zhuo Fan came from behind Xue Dingtian and attacked with a bloody hand. Blood palm. Startled, Xue Dingtian felt his blood vessels boil. He now felt it on his own skin why his son and grandson had lost. Zhuo Fan wasn't only strong enough to skip stages, but also cunning and hard to fathom. Too bad he wasn't in the profound heaven stage like the old man. Xue Dingtian vanished before the blood palm could hit him, shocking Zhuo Fan. At the same instant a powerful strike came from behind, and Zhuo Fan, who was unable to dodge in time, spat blood while flying. Xue Dingtian was about to pursue when a mystical sword intent came at him. It was Xie Tianyang wielding his star sword to strike Xue Dingtian's chest. As he looked at the approaching sword, the sky seemed to have calmed and he could only see the glittering sword moving. Profound ranked martial art. Xue Dingtian moved his foot slightly and disappeared, only to attack from Xie Tianyang's side with a palm. Xie Tianyang spatted blood and flew due to the impact. It was thanks to his spiritual armor that he wasn't heavily wounded. Zhuo Fan and Xie Tianyang staggered to their feet. A profound heaven expert's power wasn't to be taken lightly. Without an array they had no chance. That brief exchange from before lasted but a breath and the outcome was a foregone conclusion. The two couldn't even touch a profound heaven expert. Chapter 73 Cauldron. Chapter 73 Cauldron. Stop, cried Xue Ningxiang. Xue Dingtian turned towards his granddaughter, and was startled to see her in tears with a dagger at her neck. What are you doing, Ninger? Xue Dingtian became nervous. Xue Ningxiang spoke between sobs. Grandpa, let them go, they're my friend. If I do, then our Xue clan will be no more. Xue Dingtian stepped towards Zhuo Fan with hatred and killing intent. Grandpa, take one more step and I will be leaving this world before you. Xue Ningxiang nervously pushed the dagger closer to her throat. Blood began to trace the blade. Don't. Xie Tianyang was frightened, but Xue Dingtian gnashed his teeth and pressed on. However, Zhuo Fan noticed the tears in the old man's eyes. Zhuo Fan laughed, ha ha ha, Xue Dingtian, you've gotten senile. You think taking us to the seventh elder will save Xue clan? It will only hasten your downfall. What are you saying? Xue Dingtian stopped and stared at Zhuo Fan. Sneering, Zhuo Fan turned to Xie Tianyang. Do you know who this is? He's from Sword Marquis's abode. By handing him over to the Hell Valley, you will make one of the 7 houses into your enemy. Do you think you can handle their wrath and prevent the downfall of your second-rate clan? Xue Dingtian became apprehensive. He spoke while scrutinizing Xie Tianyang. Impossible, you are trying to play me. I would have known by now if someone from Sword Marquis's abode came to Blue Expanse City. 7 noble houses' disciples wander the world, so why should they report to you? Clear those muddy eyes of yours and take a closer look at his spiritual weapon. His martial arts. Are they common? Even in the 7 houses, such a masterful disciple is rare. A chill shook his very core and Xue Dingtian staggered back a few steps. He knew that was a 4th-grade spiritual weapon and the kid was using a profound ranked martial art. Who could wield both if not a man from the 7 houses? Having Xue Dingtian right where he wanted, Zhuo Fan drove in the last nail with a sneer. You want to take us back to Hell Valley when it's uncertain if they'll even accept us. But if they do, will the Sword Marquis's abode just let you go? Plop! Xue Dingtian lost all his nerve and collapsed in a shivering mess. The Xue clan was under Hell Valley, but never would they think to step between the conflicts of the 7 houses. If it ever happened, the Hell Valley would toss them in front as cannon fodder. Shui Dingtian began to feel mournful and lost. This year is a disaster for Shui clan. Do we have no other choice but to die at the hands of one of the 7 houses? He could take these runts with him, but he wouldn't want them now even if they landed in his lap. Why, young masters, forgive this old man's rash behavior. I was blind to young master's identity. Shui Dingtian squeezed through clenched teeth and crouched before them to kowtow 3 times. Everyone was dumbfounded, while Zhuo Fan just took it all in with a critical eye. Xie Tianyang couldn't quite accept it and rushed over. Forgetting the fact he was Ninger's grandfather, just being an aged profound heaven expert was enough to make Xie Tianyang unable to receive such a gesture. Would the profound heaven experts, elders in title, back at Sword Marquis's abode had to kneel too? But Zhuo Fan's hand barred his way. If you want to save Ninger, show off your status, Zhuo Fan whispered, to which Xie Tianyang nodded with a bit of startle. Grandfather, get up. Xue Ningxiang had never seen her grandfather so humiliated and rushed to help him up. But then Zhuo Fan yelled, "Who told you to get up?" Xue Dingtian shivered and was back on his knees with a red face. You! Xue Ningxiang was angry, but Xue Dingtian pulled her back. Zhuo Fan strutted before the old man and said in a clipped tone, "Do you know of our young master's eminent identity in the house? You hurt him today and us, the Sword Marquis's abode, will not let this go unpunished." Yes, I was ignorant in my offense. Xue Dingtian hung his head, which was already full of cold sweat. Humph, then we will take Ninger. If you want to get her back, have the Shui clan or Hell Valley come for her at Sword Marquis's abode. Wait. Zhuo Fan was about to leave when Xue Dingtian grabbed his ankle. It doesn't matter if Ninger offended the 7th elder, but she cannot leave. Or the Shui clan will be dead for good. I cannot accept it even if it means offending Sword Marquis's abode's young masters. Frowning, Zhuo Fan eyed him thoughtfully and saw the staunch resolve in his eyes. Maybe. Ninger. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with killing intent. He snatched Xie Tianyang's star sword and stabbed at the old man's chest. No. Xue Ningxiang panicked and threw herself before Xue Dingtian, stopping Zhuo Fan's attack just in time. Damnable and crazy punk. Xie Tianyang came to and took his sword. I thought you were just scaring the old man, not being serious. He is Ninger's grandfather. Zhuo Fan spoke coldly. If you were to choose who dies, who will you pick among the 2? Of course it's... Xie Tianyang hesitated as he got caught in a dilemma. Xue Ningxiang didn't understand what was going on between her grandfather and Zhuo Fan. Xue Dingtian, what do you need Ninger for? Zhuo Fan spoke harshly. Xue Dingtian sighed. I know that young masters like my granddaughter, but she is already betrothed to Hell Valley's young master. When she is 16 years of age, I will have to take her to them. Because of this, she has tried to run from home so many times. With how the time is nearing its end, if I don't take her, our whole clan will perish. Xie Tianyang asked Ninger, is this why you ran away? Xue Ningxiang nodded sadly. Zhuo Fan watched Xue Dingtian's wrinkled face for any lies but found none, so even you do not know for sure. If it's marriage then it's fine, but what? Xie Tianyang snapped. Ninger can't marry some random guy from Hell Valley. Come, follow brother to Sword Marquis's abode. Xue Tianyang, this marriage is fake. Zhuo Fan shot him a glance then spoke to Xue Dingtian. If it was about Hell Valley's marriage they would have come for her ages ago. But have you seen any girl getting married off to them coming back alive? Xue Dingtian pondered then shook his head. Hell Valley is one of the 7 houses, with proper rules and manners. Marrying with our second-rate clan already deserves heartfelt gratitude. What other reason can there be? She is ready to be wed to someone, and it's no longer our place to ask. Ha ha ha, that's exactly what they want. Zhuo Fan cackled. If I were to tell you that all the girls who got married to the Hell Valley's people died, what will you do? Will you still let Ninger go? What? Impossible. Xue Dingtian refuted. Why would they do that? We've always been loyal to them. It is because you are so devoted that they chose you to raise a cauldron. Zhuo Fan declared. Everyone asked in shock, what cauldron? Zhuo Fan answered calmly. There are some demonic cultivators who train in a cultivation method that utilizes ghosts of the people dying gruesome deaths. But too heavy grievance would lead to an imbalance in the yin and yang. This would increase the risk of oneself getting devoured by the ghosts. Therefore, the purest soul is needed as a foundation to train in it. And 16-year-old maidens are the best materials. You're saying they want Ninger to train some art? Xie Tianyang looked at Xuaningxiang with worry. Zhuofan nodded, most likely. Do you remember the 7th Elder's martial art? That profound ranked martial art wasn't trained to completion and was weak because the cauldron was lacking. You think he'd go easy on us on purpose? They all gasped at the cruelty of Hell Valley, which was using people as materials to practice arts. But Zhuofan couldn't care less. Demonic cultivators were selfish, not cruel or humane. Anything that killed one's opponent was most welcomed. He recalled that one time back in the sacred domain when an emperor stage expert cultivated this demonic method and killed 10,000 cultivators, the expert provoked the entire sacred domain's cultivators into an uprising against him. Even demonic cultivators rose the flag of righteousness, vowing to wipe such filth from the world. That was one of the rare occasions in which the two paths joined. Luck had it that Zhuofan was among them, witnessing this force on the move. He learned then not to incur public hatred if he wasn't the strongest. That was also why he trained in the dark after getting the 9 Serenities secret records. Even now, despite having the demon transformation art, which could raise his cultivation without a limit, he wasn't slaughtering left and right. If he'd get found out, he'd be the next target of both paths. Chapter 74 Flowing Metal Body Refining. Chapter 74 Flowing Metal Body Refining. The silence was deafening. It was so quiet that only cawing was heard. And even this noise only worked to darken the mood. Ninger! Xuedingtian turned serious as he said, "If what this young master said is true, it's best if you leave." "Grandfather," Xuaningxiang looked at him in tears. Xuedingtian smiled, "Don't worry. I'll go back and find out the truth. If it isn't like what this young master said, then I will come back to get you and proceed with the marriage." He ruffled her hair and flew away. Watching his departing figure, Xuaningxiang sniffed in tears. "Big brother Zhua, will my grandfather be all right?" Zhuofan's conjectures were always spot on, and Xuaningxiang wished to know her grandfather's fate. She wanted him to say her grandfather would be fine, that her clan would be fine. But Zhuofan shook his head. "I'm sorry if he doesn't return. Your clan still might live for a while. But now all of them will die." Xuaningxiang was shocked to the core and tears never stopped falling. Xie Tianyang began cursing to hide his sadness. "Hey, you're not that damn insidious demon's match in reading people. So how can you say they'll all die if he returns? I think a profound heaven expert would make the insidious demon think twice." "Humph, that is where you're wrong. I may not be as sharp as him when it comes to picking up one's intentions, but we are all humans, and I can tell a thing or two of his actions. First, we offended him, and since he determined the identity of Xuaningxiang during our fight, he would think that the Xue clan betrayed Hell Valley. He is bound to kill them to the last woman and child. But at that time, old man Xue came to find Ninger. In this case..." Zhuofan paused, then sighed. "Until he knew the whereabouts of the profound heaven expert, he would keep them alive to draw your grandfather. Once old man Xue returns, there will be nothing holding him back." "Bullshit. A profound heaven expert is an elder in the 7 houses. I don't believe he has such nerve to slaughter a profound heaven expert's entire clan." Xie Tianyang saw Xuaningxiang's expression turn darker and darker and roared at Zhuofan. Zhuofan shook his head. "Exactly because Xue clan has a profound heaven expert, he would wait for Xuedingtian to return before wiping them all off. In addition, you're wrong about something. A profound heaven expert is not strong at all, but a free one is. Why do you think he kneeled before us? He didn't do it for the 2 of us, but for the Sword Marquis' abode behind you. He didn't kneel for himself either, but for the Xue clan. If he were a rogue cultivator, free of responsibility, killing us would be a matter of fact." But Xie Tianyang wanted to retort but found nothing to refute him with. He knew of this all too well, but the sorrowful look on Xuaningxiang pushed him to find her some solace. But Zhuofan's words stabbed Xuaningxiang's frail heart like a dagger. At this point, Xie Tianyang wanted to punch him. "All right, stop fighting." Xuaningxiang shouted, "Big brother Zhua, I know what you said is reasonable. Tell me then, if I go back as a cauldron, can I save my clan? Xie Tianyang was appalled. Ninger, don't. Shuofan looked her in the eye, but all he saw was an unwavering will and nodded. Even the magnificent and grand seventh elder of Hell Valley has no other way to train in that martial art. From this, it is obvious how much the Hell Valley lacks cauldrons. Doing this is likely to work, but... There is no but as long as it works. Xuaningxiang waved and breathed out as if to get out all the worries off her chest. She was smiling, but the two felt their hearts heavy from the tears flowing down Xuaningxiang's cheeks. Big brother Zhua, big brother Tianyang. Thank you for taking care of me these past months. We shall part ways, just that, Xuaningxiang sniffed. I've never once gone outside the city, never seen Sword Marquis's abode. It's my only regret. She waved with a smile and left. Xie Tianyang's eyes were tinted red. They both knew what this girl was about to do. Ninger! Xie Tianyang stepped forward, but Xuaningxiang's delicate voice reached them before he could take a second. Please don't try to use force. I know I am not your match, but I will hate you for all my life and will never listen to you two again. Xie Tianyang fell to his knees and watched her distancing figure in pain. Hey Zhuofan, Ninger left. Can she save Shui clan? He asked gloomily. For some time, Zhuofan shook his head, his face serene. Once Ninger's use as cauldron expires, Shui clan would have outlived its usefulness. Why did you let her leave then? Xie Tianyang bit his lip until he drew blood as his words were spoken with an edge. Zhuofan stared him in the eye. At least, Ninger will leave this world at peace, believing her clan will be kept safe. Bastard! Bam! Xie Tianyang stood up and punched Zhuofan's face and sent him 10 meters flying. You betrayed Ninger again. Roaring, Xie Tianyang rushed after Xuaningxiang. What are you going to do? Zhuofan wiped the blood from his mouth and stood up. I'm going to save her. Xie Tianyang was dead serious. Just you. Zhuofan jabbed. How can a bone-tempering cultivator fight against a profound heaven expert? You saw what happened just now. You know the difference between the bone-tempering stage and profound heaven stage. It's not just about being unable to fly but also about speed. So what? Tightening his fists, Xie Tianyang spat. It's better than doing nothing like you. We clearly had the chance to end that insidious demon last time. Last time we had the element of surprise and an array in place. In an array, no matter how fast he is, we can deal with him. But how will I set an array now? Are you telling me to set one right under his nose, then ask him to kindly step inside? Xie Tianyang understood the meaning behind Zhuofan's words, but couldn't accept his manner. Ninger fought through life and death with them, and now Zhuofan was just going to sit there and do nothing. Zhuofan, I always knew there was no worth in trusting you. But as a man, good or bad, they are duty-bound to fulfill their promise. You promised to take Ninger out, and if you don't, you'll be nothing more than a coward. Roaring, Xie Tianyang sped up in his rush. If you go, you can only watch, powerless to do anything. I will still go. I would rather die than be a coward. Watching Xie Tianyang chasing Ninger, Zhuofan tightened his fists and muttered, Who said I'm any different? Then he turned around and entered the forest. In a cave 15 minutes later, Zhuofan set up a concealing array, then drew an odd pattern on the ground and placed spirit stones at key locations. Then he spread diamond sand across the entire pattern. Finally, his hand flashed and a pair of wings with streaks of lightning across them appeared in the center of this pattern. This was a secret body refining art from the 9 Serenities secret records. It would make use of demon transformation art to refine the ingredients and transform one's flesh into diamond body. This was far crueler than the wraith art he gave to Captain Pang. Wraith art was a cultivation method for humans to refine their body, but this secret art treated the human body as a medium in refining it, just like a demonic treasure. The results were outstanding, of course, invincible and tough as steel. But the process was excruciating, 1,000 times more miserable than the wraith art. To imagine, this process involved cutting one's body inch by painful inch, if one wanted to refine his body with ingredients suited for demonic treasures. It was so dreadful that one would find death a blessing. In the past, before he even found the 9 Serenities secret records, Zhuofan wouldn't train in wraith art even if he had it, because it was too inhuman, too brutal despite how much strength it gave back. And here he was using a method even more excruciating and dangerous. But this was also the only way he could improve his strength in a short time. If he wasn't stronger than that cunning and deceitful insidious demon, his success wasn't certain. With his heart at peace, his eyes filled with resolve, Zhuofan made a hand sign. In an instant, the strange pattern shined brightly and started to churn. As it spun, the diamond sand trickled towards a small vortex in the center and entered inside the cross-legged body of Zhuofan. Chapter 75 Spirit and Body Refining. Chapter 75 Spirit and Body Refining. Speck by diamond speck sunk into Zhuofan's body as the array turned. The sand acted like minute needles boring through his muscles and drawing blood. All diamond sand that touched him pierced his body with no exception. 1 or 2 specks he could bear, but 100, 1,000. They were beginning to take its toll on him, and all this while he could only gnash his teeth. When the number reached millions, his whole body was soaked in blood. And this blood all came from pin-sized holes left behind by the diamond speck, akin to a very fine sieve. Looking closely, the diamond sand had ruined his muscles, turning them to mush. And this was only the beginning, yet the pain was so excruciating, worse than any torture. Death by 1,000 cuts, quite literally. However, to speed up his increase in power, Zhuofan still bore through it with clenched teeth, unwilling to utter even a grunt. Fine sweat ran over his body, testament to the pain. Even the mighty demonic emperor was reduced to a shivering mess. Ah! Then Zhuofan's eyes narrowed as he cried out, unable to endure another million specks piercing his skin and muscles. He yelled and howled from the pain, but knew he had to stop and soon closed his mouth shut. In his heart he knew this body refining method would remake his entire body, from the inside out, replacing his all with diamond sand. So much so he would become an unbreakable diamond. But before that, he would have to endure this agony. Yet this was just the flesh, it would soon be followed by the bones and inner organs. Zhuofan could only grit his teeth and follow through. If not for wishing to save Xuanningsiang, he wouldn't have chosen this path no matter how amazing the result. Too cruel. The strange array never stopped revolving, feeding Zhuofan's body with diamond sand. After 2 long hours, his muscles were broken down to the last fragment. Then the diamond sand continued on to pierce his bones. Ugh! Zhuofan shook from the pain and a grunt escaped his clenched teeth. Yelling would only amplify his suffering until he could take it no more. To avoid his demise, he forced his mouth shut while his eyes bulged out of his blanched face. Damn rotten decrepit senile 9 Serenities Emperor. How the hell did you come up with this insane refining method? The moment the diamond sand entered his bones, Zhuofan spasmed. He couldn't even speak, so he cursed the first demon emperor of ages past in his mind. Had the demon emperor heard, his reply would be mockery. Did I push your hand? Who lied to you that a meager thing like you can succeed? Suddenly Zhuofan's body seized up 1 second and laid limp the next. His skeleton was turned to dust in that instant. Such pain filled his eyes with tears, but he was now nothing more than a pile of mush. And all he could do was lie paralyzed on the ground. There's also the last step, body remodeling. Zhuofan was sweating bullets as he sucked in a deep breath through gritted teeth. With his skeleton nothing more than a bone meal, the diamond sand burrowed deep into his organs. It didn't wait to stick to them like before but punched right through them. Zhuofan's organs were shredded and he was spewing blood mixed with flesh again and again. The blood seeped into the strange array and fused with it. Yet despite the constant flow of blood and the sweat and the pain, his lips curled into a sinister grin. I have prevailed. Now only body remodeling is left. Zhuofan's smile was wiped away by a wail. Ah! It didn't go as planned. The diamond sand finished with his organs and went for his brain. Be it a mortal or cultivator, the brain was the weakest for both, as it was the place that housed one's soul. Diamond sand was raining havoc in his very soul, his mind. Once it was gone, his death would be final. He felt as if thousands of ghosts were assailing him, a pain down to the bottom of his core. It was thousands of times crueler than the first step. But unlike before, when his mind was clear, the pain was now eating away at his consciousness. His soul was slowly being spent and was on the verge of shattering. And all he could do was wait for his demise. Ha ha ha, for me, the grand demonic emperor, to die at my own hands. How ironic. If only I knew how wretched this body refining method was. Zhuofan chastised himself as he grew weaker. All this while, the strange array never stopped spinning, and the remaining diamond sand on it was soaked in his blood, but he was too far gone to even care. He was hanging by a thread, one that thinned by the second. What struck him as odd was, why did he have to refine his body through this hellish torture? I must have gone insane. Why did I use this deviant secret art? Zhuofan shut his eyes with a trace of regret, as his life flashed before his eyes. Since he became a demonic cultivator, he overcame all trials bearing his path, becoming the leader of the 8 emperors in the sacred domain, the first below a saint, a path filled with glory. Then he gained the 9 Serenities secret records, bringing him further joy, and though his disciples sold him out, he was reborn in the Luo clan as a steward. Then he met Xie Tianyang and Xuaningxiang. 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 Zhuofan's lips cracked open, muttering her name in his delirium. Then he flashed his eyes open and yelled, Ninger! He recalled why he chose this path. It was to save her. At that moment, the strange array spun faster and faster, encompassing everything in it in arcane power. Zhuofan's forehead released a blue flame that turned into tendrils and enveloped his body, to ultimately fuse into the strange array. Zhuofan had no clue that this secret body refining method didn't just refine the body, but one's spirit too. Its purpose was to unearth all potential of a cultivator. If only the body was refined through this method, failure was guaranteed and death was a certainty. When Zhuofan was nearing death, he woke up to the reason behind his choice, and his will to live thrummed with power. It resonated with his soul and allowed the blue flame in his body to fuse with the array. It was only now that this strange array displayed its true power. The array spun so fast that it kicked up a storm. It soon turned blue from the flame and melted the diamond sand before fusing it with Zhuofan's blood, flowing throughout his body. Golden blood soothed Zhuofan's lacerated body, breathing life into his muscles, bones, and organs. The blue flame returned to his forehead once the process was complete and fused with his soul. Zhuofan kept his eyes closed, unaware of what happened outside. He only felt his life renewing and growing with every passing moment. All this time, Blood Infant sat cross-legged in his dantian. Seeing the incoming golden blood, it was filled with ecstasy, swallowing as much as it could. It began to alternate between fading in and out of reality, to ultimately turn into a golden infant. It opened its eyes and they flashed golden, filled with vigor. Thanks to the blue flame, the pair of wings which streaked with lightning, were turned into liquid and entered Zhuofan. In a blink, an image of a pair of blue wings appeared on his back with lightning flashing across them. Deep in the All-Beast mountain range, high up a mountain, laid a cave. And from this cave came the shocked voice of a strong middle-aged man. How come the azure flame I gave the kid is now gone? Did he remove it? Or did he take control over it? Then laughter came from deep within the cave. Ha ha ha, I must be getting old. For that kid to erase it is already impossible, so how could he refine it? Not even a saint stage expert can receive my azure flame. Although, if he really removed it, how will I find him? Well, he'll come around sooner or later, haha. The man laughed in his cave, and the sound traveled for hundreds of miles, but there was no spiritual beast around to hear it. Chapter 76 Diamond Body. Chapter 76 Diamond Body. Blue Expanse City, Shui Clan's entrance. When Shui Dingtian landed, he noticed that the place was eerily quiet. There weren't even guards around. It made his heart nervous and he rushed inside. He soon arrived outside the main hall. As he looked inside, he saw a familiar figure in the seat of honor, Hell Valley's 7th elder, Yugiki. The 7th elder was leisurely nursing a cup of tea. I wasn't aware the 7th elder graced us with his presence. Please forgive me for not welcoming you. The 7th elder's presence here intimidated Shui Dingtian, but he forced himself to show proper respect as if all was normal in the world. Yugiki sipped his tea, then smashed it on the table. Plop! And Shui Dingtian's heart sank with it. Giving him a cursory glance, Yugiki broke out in an insidious grin. Shui Dingtian, you've been under Hell Valley's care for a century now. We've always been kind to you. Without a doubt. Thanks to Hell Valley and 7th Elder assisting us, Shui clan reached today's glory. Shui Dingtian forced his anxiety down, hiding it behind a smile. Yugiki nodded and stood up. He strolled before Shui Dingtian and patted his shoulder with a warm smile. It's great that you think so then. As he spoke, Yugiki's face twisted and clawed at Shui Dingtian's shoulder as he thundered. Why did you collude with outsiders and steal Hell Valley's diamond sand? Shui Dingtian was shaking in fear and fell on his knees to kowtow 7th Elder. This is a misunderstanding. The Shui clan has been nothing but loyal to Hell Valley. We would never do such a thing. Ha ha ha, there was a time I thought the same, that you wouldn't be taking advantage of our kindness then move behind our backs. But that time has long passed. Grunting, Yugiki slapped the table to splinters and barked. Where is your grandchild, Shui Ningxiang? Shui Dingtian stammered for a response, but words left him. Humph, I will tell you. She and 2 runts stole my diamond sand and they now lie dead in All Beast Mountain Range. Yugiki's brow shook as he recalled the dreadful howl he heard at that time. If he had stayed a moment longer, he'd be a goner. Despite not finishing the trio off, he assumed the monster would have finished the job with how wounded they were. He thought ruefully about this event. Shui Ningxiang was of use to him, but now she was gone. He came back empty-handed too. No diamond sand and neither a cauldron. Sighing, Yugiki placed his rage on the Shui clan. Men, bring them in. Yugiki clapped and 3 bone-tempering experts pulled 3 people in chains. Shui Dingtian was filled with sorrow and tears fell as he looked at them. They were Shui Wanlong and his sons Shui Gang and Shui Lin. Heavy hooks dug deep into their shoulders, locking their clavicles in place and sealing their cultivation. From the bruises and wounds all over their bodies, it was clear how close they were to breathing their last. 7th Elder. Shui Dingtian bellowed and stared down the smirking Yugiki with bloodshot eyes. Shui clan sacrificed its all this past century for Hell Valley in defending Blue Expanse City. Is this how Hell Valley repays its vassal clan's hard work? Your second-rate clan is nothing but garbage. Hell Valley can have as many as it wants. To me, you're no vassals but somewhat useful watchdogs. We throw you a bone, a reward, and you should be skipping around in joy. When a dog starts raising questions to his master about getting credit for its hard work, it must be put down. Yugiki cackled. Unable to bear Yugiki's mockery any further, Shui Dingtian clenched his fist and unleashed his fury. Exerting his pressure as a profound heaven expert, he pushed back the 3 bone-tempering experts around him while Yugiki just watched on with naked killing intent. It seems that the watchdog wants to take a bite out of its master. Then it's time to replace it. Yugiki. In his entire life, this was the first time Shui Dingtian uttered the 7th Elder's taboo name out of sheer rage. Let me ask you, isn't Ninger's marriage just a cover to use her as a cauldron and practice martial arts? Yugiki looked at him in surprise before laughing. Haha, I used to look down on you every time, but look at how smart you are. We've been at it for so long, yet you're the only vassal clan that figured it out. So that's why you defected. It's all for a silly girl. Bastard. Shui Dingtian's fury exploded and rushed with his entire yuan qi laid bare. I'll kill you. Yugiki sneered, sidestepping Shui Dingtian's palm and delivering an attack of his own. Bam! The hit on his chest upset his blood flow and Shui Dingtian spat blood as he tumbled backward. Yugiki made use of Shui Dingtian's prone condition and delivered 2 more palm attacks. Shui Dingtian felt his chest burning and he spurted blood like a fountain. Ha ha, Shui Dingtian, you think you have what it takes to kill me? You're nothing but a greenhorn profound heaven stage cultivator that just broke through, while I am in the 3rd layer. You are at the bottom and I am at the peak. You will never overcome this chasm. Yugiki then dealt another palm attack with bloodthirsty eyes. Old coot, die. But go in peace knowing that your son and grandsons will follow you. Powerless to do anything, Shui Dingtian closed his eyes awaiting the final strike. Such an ending he never wished for his Shui clan. But at the very least, his dear granddaughter escaped this calamity. Shui Dingtian was relieved that Yugiki assumed her to be dead and wouldn't search for her. Stop! A high-pitched cry was heard and Yugiki stopped his attack midway. Looking ahead, he saw Shui Ningxiang at the gate, holding a dagger to her neck. You're alive. Yugiki was in shock. His sole reason for coming to this clan was to have her as a cauldron. Xuaningxiang took in the sight of her suffering family, her grandfather beaten to a pulp, and her eyes teared. She only had hatred towards Yugiki for his cruelty. Dagger inching at her throat, Xuaningxiang threatened, "If you still want me as a cauldron, release them, or I will take my life right here and now." Yugiki mocked, "He Ninger, get off your high horse. We do need you to practice martial arts, but you aren't irreplaceable. You have nothing to bargain with." Xuaningxiang was startled and worry-gnawed her heart, but she recalled Zhuofan's analysis and showed her white neck as she mocked, "Seventh Elder, you can't lie to me. I know Hell Valley lacks cauldrons, I know of my value. Since you do not care, then I will die along with my family." Xuaningxiang then traced her dagger along her neck and blood trickled. "Ninger, no. Stop." Xuedingtian and Yugiki cried at once. Xuaningxiang looked down on Yugiki, "Seventh Elder, it seems to me that you're not yet ready to let me go." Yugiki's ruthless eyes flashed. "Is that runt still alive?" Xuaningxiang avoided his gaze. She knew who he was talking about. "He died in Allbeast Mountain Range and you can go look for his body if you want to. But I'm afraid spiritual beasts would have devoured it by now." "Humph, don't try to lie to me." Yugiki sneered. "I have many enemies, but that runt was the first to bring me to such a state, coming back empty-handed and heavily wounded." Chuckling, Yugiki continued, "Girlie, don't take this the wrong way, but you do not have what it takes to see through me. That runt must have told you." Xuaningxiang only stared back, to which Yugiki shook his head. "In any case, I will have to take a step back. Since you put me on the spot, I will not take your family's lives." "Really?" Xuaningxiang was about to go help her grandfather enjoy, but Yugiki shook his hand and a hook bit into Xuedingtian. "Ah!" A wail of agony resounded and Xuedingtian blacked out. His chest was soaked in blood and his clavicle was pierced, just like his son's. "Yugiki, you. I said I won't kill them, but your grandfather is a profound heaven expert. I have to make sure he falls in line. I will, of course, let them go once we're at Hell Valley." "You better honor your word." Xuaningxiang stared at him. Nodding, Yugiki snickered. "How could I lie when you're so valuable? Men, take Miss Ninger to rest. We will return to Hell Valley on the morrow." An elegant youth arrived next to Xuaningxiang along with 2 servants. Zhuofan would have recognized him in an instant. He was Yuming, who infiltrated Blackwind Mountain as Yangming and later escaped Windgaze City. Standing next to Xuaningxiang, Yuming snickered, "So you are the cauldron for my senior's use? I have to say you sure are pretty." Xuaningxiang snorted and turned to look at her family as she left accompanied by the servants. Yuming shrugged, then went to Yugiki, "Master, what would you like us to do in regards to Luo clan? We have suffered greatly at the hands of their steward, Zhuofan." Xuaningxiang's pace faltered at the name. "Did you tell anyone else that he killed 2 of our elders?" "No." Yuming was cautious. "Even if I do, no one would believe me." "Ha ha, I didn't believe it either. But a few months back, I met a freak of nature that countered everything I threw at him. With how large the world is, there are bound to be some monsters out there." "Master, then," Yuming spoke softly. Shaking his head, Yugiki's eyes flashed with killing intent. "We will deal with this runt first, then think of a way to end that Zhuofan. Or these 2 whelps will one day be Hell Valley's nightmare." Xuaningxiang was worried sick at his words and picked up the pace. She was worried since Yugiki had set his eyes on Zhuofan because of her. Yet none of them knew that the 2 whelps were one and the same. The night seemed endless to Xuaningxiang as her heart was unable to find peace. At dawn, the first rays of sunlight washed over the unusually quiet Xue clan's small courtyard. A dozen servants were already tending to Xuaningxiang's preparations. Meanwhile, a shockwave passed through the first area of Allbeast Mountain Range and exposed a pitch-black cave. A naked man staggered outside in the gentle sunlight, giving his body a golden shine. His every step left deep prints in the earth, and even the rock crumbled to dust. He sheltered his eyes from the sunlight and looked around. He took another step and rested his hand on the cave wall for support. But his small action destroyed the stone wall completely and he fell to the ground. The man stood up among the rubble, however. The rock he was on also turned to dust. Taking a moment to adapt, His face now showed resolve. At a closer look, it was clear this man was Zhuo Fan. Just that his every line and features were as if sculpted, exuding sharp power. When he opened his eyes, streaks of lightning sparked. Zhuo Fan got a feel of his body and revealed a manic grin. Everywhere he touched let out a metallic sound. He was immensely pleased with his body, which was now completely refined with the diamond sand and was as tough as a 5th-grade spiritual weapon. He then touched his forehead and a blue flame drifted out. This was the flame that the mysterious expert gifted. He couldn't control it until now. But through the strange array's refining, it fused with his soul and became his soul flame. He could now use it any way he wished. Thinking of this made him burst out in laughter. The refining process was hellish, excruciating and deadly, but the result was astounding. He was now reborn with an unbreakable diamond body. Even a profound heaven expert wouldn't be able to make a dent in his body. With but a thought, a pair of wings with lightning flickering over their surface burst from his back and lifted him 10 meters in the air. They were the wings of Thunder Skylark, a creature whose speed was incredible even against a profound heaven expert. This was why he chose to refine them into his body. With them he became a freak, a true monster. Putting on new clothes, he flashed towards the blue expanse city like lightning. Chapter 77 Round 2 Start. Chapter 77 Round 2 Start. Young Miss is marrying. Outside Shui clan's gate, an obese granny yelled as Xuaningxiang was led outside by 2 servant girls. The entire blue expanse city gathered around to witness the event. Yugiki and Yuming sported a faint smile. Everyone was happy towards Hell Valley's show of gratitude. Some people were even tearing, imagining it was their family's daughter getting married. Xuaningxiang walked before the shocked masses. If before they were amazed by Hell Valley's power, now they were in awe by her beauty. Xuaningxiang was dressed in a common wedding gown but lacked the heavy makeup other brides had. Yet solely from this, her appearance evoked a feeling of genuine beauty, not a fake one from excess preparations. Pure as an orchid, making people afraid of marring. Only this beauty deserved to be married into the 7 houses. The crowd gathered to see her smile, to wish her blessings. But their best wishes and kind thoughts only worked to burden Xuaningxiang's already heavy heart. Everyone here envied her second-rate clan for their marriage with one of the 7 houses, unaware of the hell that awaited her. Slanting her head towards Yugiki, Xuaningxiang asked in a cold tone, "Will 7th Elder accompany me?" "Ha ha, but of course. It is my duty to protect Miss Ninger and Hell Valley's disciples' wedding, to safely deliver you to Hell Valley." The crowd was once again in awe of their kindness. However, Xuaningxiang only showed a smile of disdain. "What safeguard? It's clearly for monitoring us. At least once Yugiki leaves Blue Expanse City, Big Brother Zhuo can escape." Before she could breathe easy, Yugiki saw through her and said with a cold smile, "Oh right, Miss Ninger, I sealed off all Beast Mountain Range, even your secret tunnel. Those rats won't be able to escape from my palm." "You?" Xuaningxiang flared as her face blanched. It was her clan's secret, and Yugiki must have pulled it out from her father and brothers. Zhuo Fan's means of escape was now cut off. "7th Elder, I want." "No need to say it." Yugiki cut her off with a cold smile. "Your life was exchanged for your family. Nothing more, nothing less. Miss Ninger, after you." He then shook his sleeve. A lavish palanquin was before her with 50 bone-tempering experts around it. Xuaningxiang frowned as she lifted her leg only to put it back down. She wanted to save Zhuo Fan, but Yugiki had her family's lives in his hand. She had nothing to bargain with. Suddenly, Xuaningxiang's thunder ring flashed and her heart seized in panic. "Don't come!" Xuaningxiang shouted at the sky, startling the onlookers. No one except Yugiki understood the reason behind her reaction. With a sinister flash in his eyes, he patiently waited for his prey. "Ninger, I have come to save you." In response to Xuaningxiang's shout came another. It was Xie Tianyang piercing forward with star sword at Yugiki. Sword intent made the crowd gasp as they scattered. Yugiki just mocked, "Hump, so you want to die? A mere bone-tempering cultivator would find their death close at hand against me." Yugiki, unafraid of the 4th-grade spiritual weapon, struck back with a palm. Against the wind pressure of the palm, Xie Tianyang's sword tip trembled and the sword intent scattered. He was shocked but didn't use the sword to defend and added more power to it. A golden sword light flew from the sword tip and pierced the mighty palm. Then it continued towards Yugiki. Space rupturing form. Yugiki's heart tightened and he vanished from his spot. The sword light struck the palanquin and turned it into splinters. Sword Marquis abodes profound ranked martial art. Flowing spaces 9 forms. Yugiki appeared behind Xie Tianyang and spoke with derision. You're from Sword Marquis abode. How can a boy wield its legacy? Are you? Humph, none of your business. Xie Tianyang snorted and stabbed backward. This time the sword no longer had the imposing might. But everywhere it struck it made space stagnate and Yugiki was slowed. Empty net. Xie Tianyang bellowed. Humph, you don't know when to quit. Even with a profound ranked martial art, the gulch between bone tempering stage and profound heaven stage cannot be overcome. Snorting, Yugiki vanished, only to appear in front of Xie Tianyang. Xie Tianyang was startled but could do nothing as Yugiki's palm slapped him into the air. When he landed, 6 bone tempering experts surrounded him to make sure he didn't get up. Humph, disgraceful runt. If not for Sword Marquis abode, you would have died by now. Yugiki mocked him. Xie Tianyang spat on his face and responded as if to spite him. I dare you to kill me. But can you take responsibility for the war that follows? Ha ha ha. Wiping his face, Yugiki's tone turned colder with killing intent. Damn kid, you think I'm scared? You made a mess in my city, so the Sword Marquis abode won't say anything even if I kill you. Yugiki slapped at Xie Tianyang's chest. Xuaningxiang cried no. But Yugiki was dead set on killing him. Stop! An aged voice echoed and a golden sword wave hacked down. Yugiki wasn't about to receive it. This attack was unlike Xie Tianyang's. It was backed by the power of a profound heaven expert. He stopped his attack and jumped 6 meters back. Boom! When the dust cleared, a meter-wide hole was in Yugiki's previous position. Its depth unknown. A white-haired old man drifted next to Xie Tianyang and fanned the bone-tempering experts away. 8th Elder. The old man looked frail, his eyes cloudy, a stark contrast to the true expert he was. Even his right hand was missing 3 fingers, yet this hand was bony and showed its blue veins clearly. Proof he was a seasoned swordsman. Xie Tianyang cried in joy while Yugiki sneered. Jian Suifeng, 50 years no see. How have you been? Fine, until you came to ruin my mood. The elder spat through gritted teeth. His cloudy eyes seethed with bone-deep hatred. 8th Elder, thank God you're here. Help me save Ninger. Xuaningxiang pulled Jian Suifeng's sleeve. But Jian Suifeng shook his head. Tianyang, this is Hell Valley's affair. We cannot get involved. Youngster, there'll be hell to pay if you poke your nose in others' business. Yugiki snickered, then turned to Jian Suifeng. Case in point, you lost your 3 fingers due to the same reason. Jian Suifeng's eyes trembled from rage as he stared Yugiki down. You think I would have fallen for your scheme if not for being young at that time? Ha ha ha, it would have been better if you had stayed quiet. Yu Ming laughed. I heard from my master about Senior's matter, of the so-called undistinguished elder with rotten youth. At that time, if Senior hadn't lusted over a girl from one of Hell Valley's vassal clans, why would you force your way in her town, only to finally end with you ransomed by your glorious abode lord with 3 cities? Too bad about those 3 fingers, you had to leave those behind. Gritting his teeth, Jian Suifeng was so enraged that veins popped. Yugiki, don't take it too far. Or what, you'll attack? Yugiki made a sinister grin. 5 decades ago you couldn't beat me. And that hasn't changed even now when we're just 1 layer apart. You best run along and call for your 7th Elder instead. He continued to ridicule Jian Suifeng. I am in awe of the Sword Marquis abode's 13 Sword Elders' fame shaking the empire. But you're the only eyesore among them, not worth a dime. You, Jian Suifeng clenched his fists and shouted, Tianyang, we're leaving. But 8th Elder, you must at least fight for the honor of Sword Marquis abode even if we can't save Ninger. Leaving like this. Quiet. Can't you tell he's goading us? This here is Hell Valley's domain. Winning or losing here will put Sword Marquis abode at a disadvantage. He glared once more at Yugiki and said to Xie Tianyang, remember Yugiki's title and how cunning he is. Next time you meet him, make sure to face him with ample preparation. Xie Tianyang looked at Xuaningxiang not far ahead, and said in a determined tone, I know that. But if I don't save her today, I will regret it for the rest of my life. Ha ha ha, such is youth, ignorant of the world's dangers. Since Sword Marquis Abode's young master is so entertained by the idea of a hero saving a damsel, I will oblige by giving you a chance. Save not only her but also her clan, letting her feel ultimate gratitude towards you. Yugiki clapped and 4 bone tempering experts pulled 4 large crosses, with the entire Shui clan nailed on them, from old to young. Grandpa, Dad, brothers. Xuaningxiang wailed and glared at Yugiki, 7th elder. What are you doing? Acting my role as a villain. Yugiki then sent a grin towards Xie Tianyang. How will the young master play the hero otherwise? He then twisted his face and howled, attack. The bone-tempering experts took out hooks and clawed them into the Shui clan's members. Blood fell like rain and their howls rang in the air. They even found the strength to shout their lungs out when the hooks came out of their bodies. Not even Shui Dingtian, who was a profound heaven expert, was eased from this suffering. Xuaningxiang was crying her heart out and yelled, Yugiki, stop or I will kill myself. Then I will kill them all. Yugiki roared in return. Xuaningxiang was rooted to the spot, powerless to alleviate the painful cries of her family. Her knees softened and she collapsed, as did her mind. Snickering next to her ear, Yuming reveled in her pain. Girlie, get off your high horse. You're in no position to demand anything from my master. He is insidious demon, the #1 sage of Hell Valley. So many people from the 7 houses have fallen to my master's ploys, and you think you can best him at that? Ha ha, I'll have you know this too. It's because you angered him that he chose this course of action. You might have a bargaining chip, but too bad you're too naive. And don't forget he has a bargaining chip too, rather close at hand. Xuaningxiang lifted her head, but all they conveyed was emptiness and tears. Despair and agony. She sacrificed herself to save her clan, but she was far from being able to win against this cunning fox. It instead earned his ire, and now he was venting it all on her clan. It's all my fault. She blamed herself for everything. Who will save me now? Xuaningxiang mumbled while looking at the sky in tears. Who can save us? Humph, idiot. Yuming mocked her but then shrugged. Idiot or not, a cauldron still has its use. Xie Tianyang saw Xuaningxiang losing herself and his heart was in pain. Jian Suifeng stopped him from charging over with a shake of his head and a hand on his shoulder. The farther we are from Yugiki, the better. But 8th elder, Xie Tianyang's words faltered as Jian Suifeng's hand squeezed his shoulder harder, afraid the kid would make a rash decision. Plop! Xie Tianyang collapsed to his knees, his spirit broken. His pride as a genius turned to nothing but tears of humiliation. The girl he liked was suffering before him, and he was powerless to do anything. Then he suddenly recalled Zhuo Fan's words. It all went out just as Zhuo Fan had said. Xie Tianyang believed there was nothing he couldn't do. But now he realized how meager and weak he was. It seems that I was the coward all along. He muttered under his breath. Zhuo Fan, you bastard, where the hell are you? Xie Tianyang then raved through his manly tears and punched the ground until his fist inflamed. Jian Suifeng understood the kid's pain but couldn't help him. Suddenly Xuaningxiang's and Xie Tianyang's rings sparked. Only this time it was much stronger, similar to the time when the 3 thunder rings were close together. He's here. Xie Tianyang looked around with hope. Xuaningxiang shivered and her eyes began to regain clarity. She muttered looking at the thunder ring, Be big brother Zhua. Rumble. Suddenly lightning streaked across the sunny sky. It struck down among the crucified Shui clan members and blasted out the bone-tempering experts there in all directions. The dust rose as lightning still flickered within, and everyone was now trying to perceive through it. When the dust settled, it revealed Zhuo Fan sporting his manic grin. Yugiki, I lost the previous round. But the second round starts now. Chapter 78 Terrifying Power. Chapter 78 Terrifying Power. Who is he? asked Jian Suifeng when he saw Zhuo Fan through the dust while being shocked by the feeling of dread the youth exuded. He was experienced enough to notice that Zhuo Fan had just entered the bone-tempering stage. And yet the aura and power the kid released held a threat to a profound heaven expert's life. This contradiction made it all feel bizarre. Xie Tianyang felt the same. Zhuo Fan's face, which was radiating golden, added an extra feeling of pressure. It was unlike that from a profound heaven expert, but felt like raw power was seeping in Zhuo Fan and threatened to destroy his last vestige of life. Everyone felt as if they were standing in front of a savage beast that was ready to pounce on them. He is a friend most untrustworthy, but also most dependable. Xie Tianyang smiled wryly as his body shivered, not from fear but excitement. He grasped the possibility that this new Zhuo Fan could save Xuaningxiang. Jian Suifeng looked at Xie Tianyang in amazement. It was his first time seeing this arrogant and genius kid show such confidence and dependence on someone. Jian Suifeng turned to watch Zhuo Fan, to witness what made him so special. Ha, you not only survived but broke through. Yugiki sensed Zhuo Fan's entirely changed aura but dismissed it. The way he saw it, this was merely confidence from entering a new realm. He would learn on his own skin how weak a bone-tempering cultivator was in the face of a profound heaven expert, and his confidence will deflate like a balloon. One thing did strike him as odd though. He and Zhuo Fan last met a few months ago when the kid was in his 6th layer of qi condensation, and on his last breath. Yet here he was less than half a year later, unharmed and even advanced to bone-tempering stage. His speed sent shivers even down Yugiki's spine. How did this happen? Yugiki thought. This runt is a freak, and must definitely be put down for good. Yugiki snorted, Ming'er, go and end him for me. Zhuo Fan rose an eyebrow in ridicule. Oh, so it's you. That's fine, last time you ran away and left me with regret, but I will be extra careful in making sure to end our grievance this time around. What, you two know each other? Yugiki jerked back at Yu Ming, only to see his prideful disciple shaking in his boots. Even his face was twisted, pale beyond belief. Useless. Even with me having your back, you're still this scared? Yugiki spat at his disciple's cowardice. It was fine if no one else was around, but with the two from Sword Marquis' abode here, it made quite the embarrassment. A damn lily-livered punk threw all of Hell Valley's name into the ground. Jian Suifeng wasn't one to overlook the chance to laugh at their expense. Ha ha ha. A brilliant disciple matching a renowned master. Today I've seen Hell Valley's disciple's staunch will. Yugiki was turning green and kicked Yu Ming, who face-planted into the ground. What a disgrace. He just broke through, while you're in the 2nd layer of bone-tempering stage. Stumbling to his feet, Yu Ming took a short glance at Zhuo Fan. But Zhuo Fan's wicked grin seemed to spell death, and so he threw himself at Yugiki's feet with a wail. Master H. He is Luo clan steward Zhuo Fan. Elder Jian and Elder Yun died because of him. Yugiki froze a second, then flitted a long look at Zhuo Fan. He finally seemed to understand. Zhuo Fan's power wasn't limited to setting up 5th grade arrays. He also had a cunning mind that almost made him pay with his life. It's no wonder the 2 elders died by his hand. In Hell Valley, elders were seen as figures of respect and worshipped by disciples, unrivaled in the world. But Yu Ming witnessed the death of 2 and now fear gnawed his heart like a demon. He will never muster the courage to face Zhuo Fan in this life, regardless of his advantage over him. With Yu Ming in the 2nd layer of bone-tempering stage, he should have no trouble dealing with the newly advanced Zhuo Fan. But was this notion still valid? Just look at him shivering. Yugiki sighed and patted Yu Ming's shoulder. To remove his disciple's heart demon, his disciple had to kill Zhuo Fan himself. He stated coldly, anyone willing to capture him will receive my reward. Elder, I will do it. A large man cupped his hands. He was in the 6th layer of the bone-tempering stage. Dealing with an early bone-tempering cultivator was easy pickings. The other guards were sad that they missed such a chance. Zhuo Fan was an easy contribution that just flew away. Yugiki nodded and turned Yu Ming's head towards Zhuo Fan. Ming'er, watch. This runt is only good with arrays. Now that he has no chance of setting one, he's done for. The guard will soon bring him over, and you can kill him yourself to remove your heart demon. Yu Ming nodded and looked ahead. Jian Suifeng frowned. Yugiki sure lives up to his title. He instantly figured out his disciple's state and a way to help him overcome it. Tianyang, your friend is in danger. Xie Tianyang looked at the always composed Zhuo Fan and smiled. That punk never batted an eyelid. He will be fine. Such a reply rose Jian Suifeng's curiosity. The difference between the two is of 5 layers, so the outcome should be clear as day. The large man thundered towards Zhuo Fan with a cackle. You are a heaven-sent gift for me. I can't wait to receive my reward from the 7th elder once I hand you over. People die from greed while birds die from hunger. It all depends on you if you can defeat me. Zhuo Fan snickered. Haha, you sure have a big mouth for one who is about to die. One fist is enough to make you behave. The large man's punch was as fast as the wind and as strong as a mountain. Yet Zhuo Fan didn't look like he had time to react. The boom shook in everyone's ears. Xie Tianyang's smile was gone, now replaced with shock that Zhuo Fan wasn't even able to dodge. He was able to contend equally with me when he was a qi condensation cultivator, so why didn't he move? Xuaningxiang's face fell. Big brother Zhuo. Seeing that Zhuo Fan took the punch head-on, Hell Valley's guard started sneering. I knew he was done for, but never thought it'd be over so quickly. Did he really kill 2 of our elders? If he did, then I am first under heaven, haha. Curses, that moron got all the reward. Now I want to know what Valley Lord's gift will be. Oh. As the people started chattering, Zhuo Fan's threatening atmosphere soon disappeared from their hearts. Only Yugiki frowned, looking left and right. Ah! A wail pierced the noise of the crowd, and the large man was seen clutching his hand as he stumbled back. His hand was now a twisted and broken mess. Turning to Zhuo Fan, nothing seemed to have changed about him, still the same grin and the same demeanor. This is impossible. Jian Suifeng cried. A first-layer bone-tempering cultivator broke a 6th layer's hand with his face. Xie Tianyang's eyes bulged out. He knew Zhuo Fan always moved with a plan in mind, but even he found this new strength of this youth borderline perverse. With him like this, he'll have no trouble even against profound heaven experts. The crowd now lost their mocking gazes and were instead rooted in place by fear and shock. Zhuo Fan never paid them any heed as he strolled before the large man. The large man was groaning while holding his bleeding hand. Before he could react, his chest was then punched through by Zhuo Fan's fist. It all seemed so easy, as if he punched through paper. Zhuo Fan then flicked his hand and the large man splashed on the ground after a wide trail in the sky. The people watched in abject horror the bulging eyes of the man, his vacant expression. Chapter 79 Human Weapon. Chapter 79 Human Weapon. Yes, obscene. This was the only apt description anyone could think of. Zhuo Fan's power far exceeded the common understanding, and only this word could encompass the height he reached. It was common knowledge that bone tempering stage was the best period in a cultivator's life to temper one's body. Even a profound heaven expert could, at best, destroy a bone tempering cultivator's organs. A far cry from what Zhuo Fan did, running one through. On top of that, Zhuo Fan just broke through, making this even unprecedented throughout history. Monster. It first began as a whisper, but this word grated everyone's ears and they all agreed to this adequate assessment. Fear was painted vividly on their faces. Hell Valley's bone-tempering guards were no longer envious of the lucky man. Instead, they felt sympathy for him. What rotten luck! Not only didn't he earn merit but threw his life away instead. Whoosh! Zhuo Fan was suddenly caught off guard by a white and black pair of chains as they coiled around him. Yugiki smirked, holding the other end of the chains. Damn, even with the kid's insane talent, he'll be mincemeat soon as he is locked by the 4th-grade demonic treasure. Jian Suifeng sighed. He was in awe of Zhuo Fan's ability, of his bright future, but a pity he'll die at insidious demon's hand. Xie Tianyang's heart tensed. He didn't foresee a profound heaven expert like Yugiki resorting to sneak attacks on a newly promoted bone-tempering cultivator. Although the person in question was a freak of nature, it was still despicable. Xuaningxiang was happy at first but then turned worried. Zhuo Fan eyed the familiar demonic treasure and said, using such underhanded moves from the get-go, that too against a junior. Seventh Elder. Seems like you do not care about Hell Valley's name. Yugiki laughed dryly. You're smart to notice my intention from a look. There is hardly anyone compared to your caliber in the Tianyu Empire. You are one outstanding devil that not even I dare to neglect. Ha ha ha. I truly admire the Seventh Elder's cautious nature. In any case, this junior came without any plan or scheme prepared, only to end you myself. Yet you're so prudent regardless. Yugiki's mood darkened. Reading between the lines, he knew Zhuofan mocked him for his yellow-bellied attitude. Even he had his limits, especially when humiliated in front of such a crowd by a bone-tempering junior. Runt, say that again and I'll make sure there won't even be a corpse left of you. Am I wrong? Zhuofan cocked his head and laughed. With your character, the faster you kill your opponent the better. Yet the first thing you did when I arrived was to send your disciple to test the waters, only to have him reduced to a shivering mess from fear to the point he ignored your orders. And left with no choice, you sent that buffoon to his death in the name of curing your disciple's heart demon. There's no need to even mention winning, but just in case he failed, it wasn't that much of a loss since it offered you the perfect timing to blindside me when I finished him off. And this is the result. Zhuofan enlightened everyone, and even Jian Suifeng was startled so much that his fear for Yugiki grew. He wasn't Yugiki's match, and if he were in Zhuofan's stead, Yugiki would have succeeded in his devious plan. Yugiki is ruthless and cunning to the extreme. Yet that Zhuofan isn't any better, discovering his ploy in an instant. The insidious demon showing such an extreme caution against a bone-tempering cultivator not only shocked him but everyone present. On the other hand, Zhuofan wasn't in the least beneath Yugiki in cunningness. Thinking about this let Jian Suifeng hold Zhuofan in higher regard. Oh. Hi, aren't you caught in my web despite seeing through it? Yugiki snickered with killing intent. I just need to twitch my arm and you'll turn putty. Zhuofan rose an eyebrow and laughed, say, how did a sinister old coot like you turn so stupid? You think it's that easy to trap me since I saw through you? Zhuofan's eyes gleamed and lightning cracked. Bam! Yugiki couldn't even react before the chains were thrown away. Zhuofan now sported a pair of 10-meter-long wings streaked by flashing lightning. Thunder Skylark's wings? Xie Tianyang cried. Oh. Zhuofan had appropriated the Thunder Skylark's body for himself, but Xie Tianyang didn't expect him to refine its wings into a demonic treasure. Since the Thunder Skylark was a 6th-level spiritual beast, adding the diamond sand into the equation, the refined demonic treasure would also be 6th grade. Xie Tianyang was in glee. 6th grade flying demonic treasure? Yugiki's tone was grave. With it, you can match a profound heaven expert's speed, however. As he spoke, he flicked the yin-yang chains. The chains moved individually from opposite directions to seal Zhuofan's escape. A profound heaven expert's advantage over bone-tempering cultivator isn't just limited to speed. I know that all too well. Zhuofan didn't care about the chains. A profound heaven expert relies on his quick moves in melee, not something a flying demonic treasure can overcome. But then the chains were about to strike Zhuofan, one aiming his head and the other his chest. Whoosh! The pair of wings moved like independent arms and swatted the chains away. Yugiki and Jian Suifeng jerked in shock. This can't be possible. There was an ancient story that spoke of flying demonic treasures that could change shape at the wielder's will and launch attacks. But a demonic treasure was inanimate, so how could it do that? The people there watched Zhuofan as if they were looking at a monster. He sported a faint smile as he spoke at leisure. But when did I say it's a demonic treasure? While demonic treasures were refined as tools, Zhuofan refined the wings into his body. In other words, they were part of his body. He could let them out at will and make them move as he wished. He was no longer your average human being but a human weapon. If the wings were a 6th grade demonic treasure, then his body had become a 5th grade demonic treasure refined through the method of diamond sand tempering. This wasn't something Yugiki and the rest could fathom when not even the denizens of Sacred Domain couldn't. The only ones who could comprehend this were those ancient talents who held the 9 Serenities' secret records, and were aware of the deviant secret method to refine materials into their human body. Damn freak! Even the calm Yugiki had to curse through gritted teeth. His eyes were bloodshot and his hands were poised to strike. The 2 chains flitted everywhere and soon became 2, then 4, then 8. Numerous chains approached from every angle like a rain of death, all aiming for Zhuofan. He wanted to beat Zhuofan to a pulp. But Zhuofan smiled fearlessly as he stood his ground. His eyes flashed and the wings moved like lightning. Only the sounds of cracking lightning and grating metal were heard, while not even a trace of the chains nor the wings was seen. But the flickering lightning was proof enough for everyone to know of the bitter fight the 2 were in. This was a profound heaven expert's speed. This gave a shock to the audience and let them know how weak they were against a profound heaven expert. But Zhuofan was the one who agitated them the most. A bone-tempering cultivator had such power. Xie Tianyong watched numbly with incredulous eyes at how deep the gap between them was. Even more so when Zhuofan of yesterday was a far cry from today. 8th Elder, what can you see? Xie Tianyong saw Jian Suifeng standing there in a daze without blinking. He never saw his elder so astonished in his life. Yugiki is pushing hard with his attacks, but Zhuofan is blocking them all. It is unclear as to the outcome, but Yugiki seems to have the upper hand. Jian Suifeng stated so, but his eyes never left the fight, afraid of missing anything. Xie Tianyong was despondent. His and Zhuofan's gap was now even bigger. Zhuofan of before won with a raise while now he relied only on himself. In merely a single day, their positions switched so much that Xie Tianyong was left far behind in the dust. Chapter 80 Face Slapping. Chapter 80 Face Slapping. Whoosh! The metallic and lightning sounds came to an abrupt stop. Zhuofan's expression was one of focus as he halted his wings while Yugiki was nowhere in sight. A sound broke the silence and Zhuofan's heart seized. He instinctively bent his wings. Ding! His wings blocked the sneak attack of the chains from behind, but a cold needle was speeding at his back. It was Yugiki with his 3rd-grade demonic treasure, Twisted Needle. He runt, what are you going to do now? Yugiki snickered. Zhuofan's wings were occupied with the yin-yang chains. The 3rd-grade demonic treasure's attack came at an impeccable timing, right when Zhuofan's movement was sealed. Not even Yugiki could get out of this one if he was in Zhuofan's place. But Zhuofan only muttered, mystifying phantom step. Whoosh! He vanished from his place and the chains along with the twisted needle lost their target, throwing Yugiki off balance. Then Zhuofan came from behind using his wings as axes aiming for Yugiki's neck. Ding! With a crisp sound the wings and yin-yang chains clashed again. But this time their roles were reversed. The situation flipped in a blink, with Zhuofan now pressing his advantage. Even Jian Suifeng was affected by this sudden turn. Hell Valley's number 1 sage Yugiki was driven to a corner by a youth. 7th Elder. How does it feel to be on the receiving end of a sneak attack? Zhuofan's wings pushed against the yin-yang chains until Yugiki leaned backward. If I also had a 3rd-grade demonic treasure, you'd be dead by now. Yet despite your efforts and the golden opportunity, I'm still alive and kicking, so to speak. Yugiki's face flushed and was gasping heavily to ease the rage within him. Zhuofan's words were an affront to his title. Yugiki wasn't powerful because of his cultivation, but because of his title as Insidious Demon, the number 1 sage of Hell Valley. Yet Zhuofan was mocking his pride. The same as saying, if I were you, I would have long killed my opponent with a sneak attack and wouldn't need to waste time chatting them up. This was the worst humiliation Yugiki ever suffered. One may mock his character, his devious nature, yet he would take them all as badges of honor. But never ever would he allow one to insult his intelligence. That was where he drew the line. Anyone who mocked him for a fool, he would make sure to give them a fate worse than death. Yet Zhuofan had him beaten at every corner and kept mocking him, with him powerless to prevent it. This brought a never-felt feeling of resentment. Don't get too cocky, damn runt. Yugiki's anger reached a breaking point. His yuan qi exploded, flinging Zhuofan's wings aside. Then, he swirled his chains at Zhuofan, leaving behind afterimages. Yugiki was at peak speed and with the added effect of the yin-yang chains, he reached a new height. Zhuofan remained calm as he laughed. His figure darted around with the help of mystifying phantom step in his wings, moving even faster than Yugiki. The people were once again bearing witness to afterimages and metallic sounds clashing with streaks of lightning, but never a clear image of any of the two's bitter fight. They flashed across the entire plaza, one moment to the east, the next to the west, flashing in every direction possible, and even around the bone-tempering guards. But since the people could only hear them and not see, they stood there in fear. One slip, one errant move from their part and only pieces would remain of them. Eighth Elder, how does it look? When Yugiki and Zhuofan were at a standstill with demonic treasures, Xie Tianyang could grasp some of the situation. But as the matter devolved to such a state, he was unable to see them and had to defer to Jian Suifeng's assessment. Jian Suifeng, however, gestured for Xie Tianyang's silence as he focused his all on the fight. After one huge boom, two figures reappeared. Zhuofan crossed his hands casually, standing in the same spot, while Yugiki was gasping for breath. Zhuofan's nonchalant attitude left not only him but also Jian Suifeng in shock. Who won? Xie Tianyang knew but still couldn't help ask. Jian Suifeng was solemn. Soon you will know. Thunderous booms echoed and a score of bone-tempering guards were struck down by lightning. It burst their heads and liquefied their organs. The other guards fled for 50 meters in anxiety while Yugiki and Zhuofan stood across each other, having known of this long ago. What's happening? Xie Tianyang darted his eyes to the corpses in fear. Jian Suifeng's eyes never left Zhuofan as he spoke in a grave tone. Tianyang, your friend is terrifying. I've never seen anyone like him. That Yugiki, he has never suffered as much as he has now. Xie Tianyang didn't understand, but Jian Suifeng continued. In their clashes, Yugiki was giving his all. They attacked each other again and made me believe Zhuofan was also fighting with everything. Then suddenly his speed jumped. But what? Xie Tianyang seemed impatient. Jian Suifeng revealed an imperceptible smile, but instead of ending this battle, he dragged Yugiki around, killing guards right under Yugiki's eyes. Xie Tianyang was startled. Why do this? Why didn't he finish the old man off if he had the chance? Ha ha. This is where the kid is truly terrifying. Jian Suifeng's eyes shook and he turned serious. He did it to mock that old fool. An elder was led by the nose by a snot-nosed brat, killing a score of his men yet powerless to stop it. Yugiki, known as the insidious demon, was played around by a bone-tempering kid as a cat plays with a mouse. Will there be any pride left in him after this? Zhuofan and Yugiki are the same. Offending such a person would invite a world of suffering, because their revenge isn't limited to killing you, but robbing you of all you hold dear, including pride. Death only comes after there is nothing left to plunder. Jian Suifeng suddenly laughed, feeling all his grievances get washed away. Only evil can fight evil. Yugiki was despicable in his ways for too long, and today he met his match in a little demon who has a heart just as black as his. How refreshing! Jian Suifeng's laughter rang in everyone's ears and jarred Yugiki's. The latter was burning with rage and was close to spewing blood. He felt miserable every time he saw Zhuofan standing smug. Zhuofan's power exceeded his predictions by far. In the first move itself, he discovered that Zhuofan had surpassed him. He not only treated this fight as a spar but also had the leisure to kill his men. Zhuofan left him powerless, especially when it came to schemes where Zhuofan was at his level if not higher. Yugiki felt his head hurt, feeling weak and feeble for the first time. No, this can't end like this. If this gets dragged on for long, he will kill me. I need to end it in one blow. Yugiki had a plan in mind but didn't know if it would work, especially in Zhuofan's case. But he was left with no choice. His eyes flashed and flung the chains at Zhuofan. This thing won't work on me. Zhuofan smirked, readying his wings. But the yin-yang chains veered off from him at the last minute, aiming for Xuanningsiang. Xuanningsiang was rooted in fear, but Zhuofan appeared before her in a flash of lightning and flung the chains with his wings. Ha ha ha, I see it now. Yugiki laughed hysterically. Zhuofan. Oh Zhuofan, I found your weakness. In the All-Beast Mountain range you ingrained a deep fear in these old bones with your constant attacks, so I thought you came this time seeking revenge. But now I see it was all for her. And you think this changes anything? You will die just as well. Zhuofan stated. Humph, if you bore the same ruthlessness you showed before, I would have some misgivings. But you care for this girl and placed victory in my grasp, ha ha ha. Chapter 81 Instant Kill. Chapter 81 Instant Kill. Yugiki jumped in the air and performed a double hand sign. A demonic face appeared, twisted in malice and pain. Hell Valley's profound ranked martial art, demonic face seal. Jian Suifeng shouted. This martial art is focused on striking at one's soul. It is undefendable. Even radiant stage cultivators will find it hard to cope with such an attack. The lightest injury is dizziness, while the worst would be death. His words traveled to Zhuo Fan's ears as a clear warning. Yugiki noticed this but laughed instead. Damn runt, if you dodge, the demonic face seal will kill the girl. If you try to take her, you won't make it. Big brother Zhuo, forget about me and leave. I can die in peace knowing you will save my family. Xuaningxiang urged. Zhuo Fan looked back with a smile, then spoke coldly at Yugiki. She is mine. As long as I'm here, you can't harm her. Then I will kill you, ha 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 ha. Yugiki pointed and the demonic face wailed on its way towards Zhuo Fan. Xuaningxiang was nervous and was about to jump in front, but Zhuo Fan stopped her with his wing. Boom! The demonic face smashed on Zhuo Fan and thousands of gray tendrils of energy wrapped around him. The cries of lamentation, similar to that of a being starved for centuries and finally finding food, were heard all around. Xie Tianyang turned towards Jian Suifeng in anxiety, but the latter only sighed. Even a profound heaven expert was powerless in the face of such an attack, least of all a bone-tempering cultivator. Xuaningxiang couldn't hold back her tears. Hi, damn runt. Lust is your downfall. A demonic cultivator should be ruthless, yet you let emotion cloud your judgment and make you weak. Yugiki cackled as he turned to Xuaningxiang. Wench, his death is on you. Xuaningxiang watched Zhuo Fan become gray, and her cries became heartrending. If not for saving her, he could have lived. Big brother Zhuo, forgive me, it's all my fault. Xuaningxiang sobbed. Ha ha ha, foolish girl, don't let that old goat see you cry. You're only bringing him satisfaction. Suddenly, Zhuo Fan's voice came from within the ball of gray tendrils. The crowd was shocked. Wasn't Zhuo Fan reeked with pain inside there? How is he so calm? Yugiki cried in fear. This is impossible. His soul should have been swallowed whole. Ha ha, you want to kill me with a parlor trick? Aren't you a tad bit naive, insidious demon? An azure flame flashed from within the gray tendrils. The gray energy retreated every time the flame moved. As the gray energy withdrew, Zhuo Fan was soon revealed before the crowd with an azure light coming from his forehead. Zhuo Fan muttered, "Demon transformation art." Suddenly, the gray energy wailed as they were devoured by the azure flame, and Zhuo Fan felt his soul growing stronger as a result. Demon transformation art was originally used to absorb everything to promote one's cultivation. The reason he couldn't absorb souls so far was because his own wasn't strong enough. It would only be a detriment if the result would have harmed him instead. But since he refined his soul, it grew in power, akin to radiant stage cultivator's level. And having the strange azure flame as a protector, this measly amount of vengeful ghosts were nothing more than a snack after the flame removed the waste. Eyeing Yugiki in the air, Zhuo Fan mocked, "Is that it? If you have no trick up your sleeve, guess I'll have to get serious." Get serious? He stopped showing off. Are you saying you've been playing around all this time? Yugiki was both angry and startled. Startled that Zhuo Fan could dismiss such a strong attack and angry from his contempt. But that was how Zhuo Fan treated him, with naked contempt. Wasn't he insidious demon of Hell Valley, their #1 sage? Despite all that, fear grew inside him. This was a foreign feeling to him since he always grasped his opponent's weakness before striking them down. But when he looked at Zhuo Fan, he only felt powerless despite everything he threw at the kid. Furthermore, he had a nagging feeling that all his moves were within Zhuo Fan's calculations. Zhuo Fan played him like a fiddle, leaving him without a shred of dignity. This fear he had was the worst he ever felt. Chuckling, Zhuo Fan mocked again, "Seventh Elder, I wonder, do you remember what you told me a few months back in the All-Beast Mountain Range? Against true power all schemes are moot." Yugiki's eyes dilated, His heart sped up, and a bad feeling crept its way down his spine. Today I throw this line right back at you. Grinning, Zhuo Fan pointed at the sky. In just one move, I will have your head. Bullshit. Yugiki could no longer take it and snapped. He now realized, Zhuo Fan's end goal this time was revenge against him, while he was only saving Xuaningxiang in passing. From the moment Zhuo Fan showed up, he smacked the old man's face at every corner, to show him how useless his insidious demon moniker was before true power. My intelligence is laughable when it comes face to face with raw power. My cunningness falls short to his. Zhuo Fan wanted to crush his pride as an insidious person, to die in pain. What a dreadful kid, far worse than even Yugiki. Jian Suifeng felt overwhelmed with shock. He is even more terrifying than Zhuge Changfeng. This thought helped Jian Suifeng understand Zhuo Fan's actions so far. It is unknown if he will one day be friend or foe. Observing him now is for the best. Ignoring the gazes around him, Zhuo Fan stared down Yugiki with delight in his eyes. Perhaps all demonic cultivators were at their happiest in the throes of slaughter. Zhuo Fan laughed. Yugiki, ready? It's time you see what real power looks like. He jumped the next moment. Bam! He shot for Yugiki like a rocket. Yugiki attacked with his yin-yang chains. But with a flap of his wings, Zhuo Fan slipped right past them. Yin-yang chains couldn't even touch him and he was already punching at Yugiki. Ha ha ha! Got you! Yugiki laughed and a black and white chain flew at Zhuo Fan's chest. But Zhuo Fan only said, "Oh, so you had another set of chains besides those two. But so what? With my power, all your plans are moot, including all you've hidden so far." Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed and a golden light flew from his body. It was the blood infant after being refined with diamond sand. The blood infant, which was comparable to a 5th-grade demonic treasure, charged at the black and white chain. The chains couldn't last even a second as blood infant tore through it along with Yugiki's arm. Yugiki was shocked to find that the golden light, which passed by his ear, had taken away not only the chain but also his arm. He only now woke up to the validity of Zhuo Fan's previous words, so much so that blood infant's power scared Yugiki. He had no time to feel the loss of his arm when Zhuo Fan's punch was right at his face. Damn runt, you think you can kill me in one move? He knew his death was sealed, but he wasn't about to let Zhuo Fan determine how he died. Or he really would never rest in the afterlife. The only reason he still fought was for his honor. Whoosh! 3rd-grade demonic treasure twisted needle flew from his sleeve towards Zhuo Fan's fist. As long as he stopped the fist, he wouldn't die in one blow. Such was the glorious mind of the number 1 sage in Hell Valley reduced to after fighting with an equally insidious demon. Zhuo Fan was here to make sure he would be left without a scrap of honor. The punch still moved without hesitation, meeting with the twisted needle, to the joy and hope of Yugiki. But the crisp sound that resulted from the contact revealed that the twisted needle broke in two. The fist was unaffected in the slightest as it bore into Yugiki's chest. Yugiki watched in horror and muttered, "What kind of damn monster are you? Humph, I don't mind telling you. My body is as strong as a 5th-grade demonic treasure. Yours was only a 3rd-grade demonic treasure. And as for why I'm such a freak..." Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed as he recalled the endless anguish and torment he had to live through. "Isn't it all your fault?" Roaring, Zhuo Fan threw his fist and flung Yugiki into the ground, smashing a few buildings. Blood flew from Yugiki's mouth as he watched Zhuo Fan in the air with shock and loss. "How does your freakish change have anything to do with me?" With this final thought, Yugiki's head sagged and breathed his last. His eyes were wide open, never to find peace. Chapter 82 Shocking Fame. Chapter 82 Shocking Fame. Zhuo Fan spread his wings among the clouds and hovered like a god towering above the ants. In his hand, he was clutching a still-beating heart which was dripping blood. But the owner of this heart had long met his end and was no more than a stiff corpse, never again able to find peace from the horrors he endured. The onlookers raised their heads in shock, but witnessing the majesty of Zhuo Fan, they even forgot to breathe. Fear was almost palpable among the Hell Valley's guards. In just a single blow, the notorious insidious demon, the number 1 sage of Hell Valley, Yugiki, died. Xie Tianyang was in denial of what he witnessed, Even Jian Suifeng was swept by fear as he gazed upon the youth hovering in the sky. A true monster, Jian Suifeng muttered. Zhuo Fan simply relaxed his grip and the heart dropped down to the ground with a splat. But this casual action seized everyone's hearts. As Zhuo Fan's cold stare roamed among the people, they lowered their heads in fear, horrified that the demon would set his gaze on them. Zhuo Fan, however, only laughed. That guy must have run off to his house. He actually slipped away again. He suddenly swooped down, alarming the people into scattering. But he went by Xuaningxiang and held her. Xuaningxiang let out a short cry before being carried into the clouds. They both then disappeared in a lightning flash. In a clearing outside Blue Expanse City, lightning sparked, revealing Xuaningxiang and Zhuo Fan landing. As he eased her onto the ground, she looked at him in puzzlement. Zhuo Fan had a faint smile. I said that I will take you out of the city, and I have. Now I have fulfilled my promise. Is this the outside world? Xuaningxiang darted her eyes around and breathed in, a smile playing on her lips. This is the first time I'm walking outside the city. I'm finally out. Xuaningxiang laughed and blushed. Thank you, big brother Zhuo. It's nothing. We shook on it, didn't we? Zhuo Fan said, Ninger. This might be the right time to say goodbye. You're leaving. Xuaningxiang jerked her head up, her eyes fixed on Zhuo Fan. Where to? He sighed as he said, I don't know. There are still so many things I need to do. The most pressing matters were finding the Lightning Canyon, Heavenly Emperor's remnant, and searching for experts to strengthen the Luo clan. Despite having no clue where to start on any of them, he had to keep looking. Xuaningxiang saw his mind was set and spoke softly, Big brother Zhuo, can I come with you? No. Zhuo Fan denied, with your strength, you will be in too much danger. Xuaningxiang lowered her head in defeat. She knew she'd be just a burden to him if she went. Zhuo Fan tousled her head with a smile. And you still have your clan to look after. Shui clan offended Hell Valley, and needs to find someone that can protect it. The Sword Marquis's abode is a good choice. From Xie Tianyang's sharp mouth, he must be quite high-placed. If he vouches for you, Sword Marquis's abode is sure to take you in. Xuaningxiang raised her head then nodded. Now was the time to look for a safe place for her clan. It would be too cruel of her, and selfish, to go with Zhuo Fan and leave her father and brothers in danger. She was embarrassed but still felt reluctant to part with him. Bye little sister. Zhuo Fan ruffled her head one last time and left with a smile. Tears formed in Xuaningxiang's eyes as she shouted, Big brother Zhuo. When will we see each other again? When the thunder ring flashes. Zhuo Fan waved as he walked away, the thunder ring on his and Xuaningxiang's fingers flashing. In another area, Jian Suifeng was looking down on Yugiki's corpse, the enemy who robbed him of his 3 fingers. He recalled Yugiki's wretched death and his mood livened. Oh Yugiki, what a tragedy befell you, one of the great men of Tianyu Empire. Jian Suifeng found that the Hell Valley guards Zhuo Fan routed were now scrambling away from this place, abandoning even their elder's body. Only a cold wind blew over the white hairs on Yugiki's body, which was lying there on the cold and hard rubble. His eyes were wide, despite losing their light. Xie Tianyang was still looking at the sky in Zhuo Fan's direction, but then spoke in a sour tone, Damn bastard, good for you killing Yugiki, but what are you playing at taking Ninger? Tianyang, help the others down, we'll rush to Sword Marquis's abode to heal them. The Shui clan will become Sword Marquis's abode's vassal clan. Jian Suifeng indicated towards the crucified Shui clansman. Xie Tianyang jumped and smiled, that's my intention. 8th Elder, who knew we thought alike? I was also going to save Ninger's clan. Humph, who is like-minded with a brat? Jian Suifeng snorted. You've seen what that little monster is capable of. Only time will tell how far his strength will reach. Since he went out of his way to save these people, it won't hurt to earn his favor. We might even become friends in the future. And in case we stand on opposite sides, we can use these people as hostages to deal with him. Xie Tianyang only smiled wryly at his elder's reasoning. Humph, so you're not saving Shui clan because of me but because of that prick Zhuo Fan. Just who is a Sword Marquis's abode's core disciple here anyway? If this gets out, my name will be dragged through the mud. Although secretly cursing, he still went to work, since this was his aim all along, to help Xuanningsiang. Yet none was the wiser as half a mile out, Yu Ming was curled up in shivers. His fear of Zhuo Fan grew out of proportion, to such a scale that he might never overcome this heart demon. Bastard, this is the third time. What did I ever do to you? Everywhere I go you come killing. Last time you killed 2 elders and this time you killed my master. Abomination. Yu Ming cursed Zhuo Fan to high heavens. But when Zhuo Fan's cold face resurfaced in his mind, shivers reeked his body. A month later, in the emperor's gardens of the imperial capital, 2 old men were playing chess beneath a pavilion. One of them was dressed in a golden gown and had white temples and cloudy eyes. He was the emperor of Tianyu Empire. The other elderly had a long beard, white hair, and exuded an imposing aura. Whenever a guard looked his way, their eyes were filled with respect. Among the melodious chirping of the garden birds, the chess pieces being moved made for a calming rhythm. Suddenly a wail broke the blissful peace. Lord Father, something big just happened. A 200-kilo round ball of flesh rolled next to the emperor. He shook the very earth he stepped on and threw the chess match into a mess. Rubbing his forehead, the emperor smiled dejectedly at the other man, who only smiled understandingly. Songer, didn't I tell you to face all events with calm? And haven't you noticed that I am playing chess with Mr. Sima? Weiss, I know my wrongs. Yuan Song rushed a bow to the emperor and the elderly, then wiped the sweat from his forehead. Speak, what is the matter? The emperor held on to another chess piece, not minding his son. Yuan Song forced his excitement down and said in a grave tone, reporting to Lord Father, Hell Valley's 7th elder was killed a month ago. The chess piece in the emperor's hand clanked on the board and he looked at the frowning Mr. Sima. Who did it? The emperor then turned his hardened face towards Yuan Kong. Seeing no one around, Yuan Song whispered, It is someone from the clan we are currently endorsing, Luo clan steward Zhuo Fan. A month ago, something got into him that he killed the 7th elder of Hell Valley in Blue Expanse City under everyone's eyes. It was also revealed that he was the one who killed Hell Valley's 2 other elders in Windgaze City, and used Veiled Dragon Pavilion as a patsy. What? A brat killed Hell Valley's 3 elders, their precious Yugiki included? What guts? Mr. Sima said to the emperor, Your Majesty, how should we handle it? The emperor evoked a faint smile and kept playing chess. If it only involved the 7 houses, it would have posed a headache. But as matters stand, Yu Wanshan won't have the cheek to complain to me. Don't let them snuff out the Luo clan. This pearl of mine is about to reveal its splendor, ha ha ha. Bam! The emperor slammed the chess piece with delight. Yuan Song looked long at the emperor, then bowed and left. Prime Minister's residence in the imperial capital. Prime Minister Zhuge Chongfeng laid on a rocking chair with half-closed eyes, swaying gently. Suddenly a black shadow whispered in his ear. What? Zhuge Chongfeng flashed his eyes open in shock, then sighed. The balance between the 7 houses is now askew. I will need to make ample preparations for the aftermath. And he resumed his previous state, gently swaying on the rocking chair. High Priest's residence in imperial capital. A white-haired elder was reading through some information delivered by one of his men. As he read through, a frown appeared on his forehead and he signaled his men to withdraw. With shaking steps deigning his old appearance, the elder walked into the observatory and looked up towards the sea of stars. The star of war is near and turmoil is on our doorsteps. A spark is enough to light this powder keg. The ruler is about to change. I only hope the people can weather the storm. Veiled Dragon Pavilion's headquarters. Pavilion Lord Long Yifi and some elders were in a meeting, but 2 young people were also present, Long Jia and Long Kuei. Because of their efforts and brilliant conduct 7 days ago, Long Yifi officially allowed them to participate in the Elder Council, pleasing the 2 to no end. Recently, Xiao Kuei and Xiao Jia have displayed impeccable conduct. I propose to send them to cultivate under the Grand Elder, and learn the house's profound ranked martial art. Long Yifi smiled looking at the 2 and spoke with pride. Third Elder commented with a hardened look. These 2 kids progressed well, however. They are only average by contrast with the other house's genius disciples. How? Third Elder, don't underestimate us. We are on the verge of breaking through to the bone-tempering stage. Long Kuei protested while Long Jie was in accord. Third elder is right. I heard rumors that Sword Marquis Abode Xietianyang became a bone-tempering expert 3 years prior. We are still far behind him. Xiao Jie is so modest. You will do great deeds in the future. Godai Longjiu nodded with satisfaction. A black crow perched on his shoulder, the soul-devouring crow he got from Zhuofan. Looking at the bird, Longjiu couldn't help his expression softening. If you two brats were half a man my brother Zhua is, you'd be training our passed-down profound ranked martial art by now. Humph, Uncle Jiu, why bring him into this? Long Kuei always became irritated whenever she heard Zhuofan's name. He is cocky, brash, and doesn't want to join Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Even if he has a smidgen of talent, that doesn't make his rise guaranteed. We will undoubtedly surpass him. A man suddenly barged in while shouting, "Urgent report, Pavilion Lord." Third elder waved him away after taking the report and read it. The next moment, his hand froze and the paper drifted to the floor. What's wrong, third elder? Longjiu picked up the paper in worry, never having seen third elder so spooked. But the contents left his soul eye in tears. Good brother, I owe you again. What is all this about? Long Yifi was inquisitive like the rest of the people present and took the paper. His brows shook and his voice betrayed his excitement. Hell Valley's Yugiki was killed by Zhuofan in Blue Expanse City. What? Everyone was dumbstruck. Who hadn't heard of Yugiki? He was the greatest headache of everyone, especially for Long Jiu, who had his eyes stolen in Yugiki's ploy. Yet this dreadful man was killed by Zhuofan. Their shock was understandable. Even Long Jie and Long Kuei had heard of Yugiki's infamy. After all, he was a man feared by all elders of the Veiled Dragon Pavilion. They instantly felt how far behind Zhuofan had left them. Ah, well done. Long Yifi burst in laughter. I was right in my decision. This kid is a dragon among men. Increase our support to the Luo clan and send some men to safeguard their clan. I'm sure we all can agree on that. It was a unanimous decision. Not even the elders who were against Long Yifi proposing an alliance with Zhuofan showed any complaint. After all, none of them here could do what Zhuofan did, sending that Yugiki to his grave. And the Veiled Dragon Pavilion was just the beginning. The Continent's clan soon came to know of this affair. Among the shocks and cries of joy, Zhuofan's name was etched in the minds of many clan leaders. Chapter 83 Hell Kill Order. Chapter 83 Hell Kill Order. In a lone valley, sieged by mountains on 3 sides and a narrow trail on the 4th, the sun's warm glow barely reached this place throughout the year. Being shrouded in mist, this place was a cesspool of poisonous insects and rats. Yet this particularly strange environment led to the development of some of the rarest herbs the world had ever seen. To gather such ingredients, men braved many dangers through the valley, where the mortality rate was incredibly high and the ghosts of the fallen exacerbated the gloom. People came to call it Hell Valley. 1,000 years ago, a powerful group stumbled upon this odd place and established a foothold. They even set up a 5th-grade array to safeguard from the gruesomeness of this valley. This group was the Yu House, one of the 7 noble houses of Tianyu Empire. With time, people came to call this valley as the strongest house that could oppose the imperial family. Until now. In Hell Valley's meeting hall, Valley Lord Yuanshan was in a poor mood as he sat on his throne. Out of the 12 total seats, 9 seats were occupied by elders. Each time he glanced at the empty seats, his eyes turned savage. Yu Ming. Yuanshan bellowed. Do you mean to say that 3 of Hell Valley's elders are dead because of a single kid? Kowtowing on the ground and shivering uncontrollably, Yu Ming replied, I wouldn't even think of lying to Valley Lord. Elder Jian, Elder Yun, as well as my master 7th elder, were indeed killed by Luo clan steward Zhuofan. Useless wench. Yuanshan slapped the table. You knew he killed 2 elders before, so why didn't you report this sooner? Spare me, Valley Lord. It was my master who forbade me. Master found it too weird and ordered me to keep it to myself. He told me that he will find the opportunity to deal with Zhuofan. But before he could, Zhuofan broke into our city and... At this point, Yu Ming's voice was choked with sobs. The rest of the elders snorted. All demonic cultivators are cruel and cold, so why is this punk getting so worked up? Throwing such a show would make them despise him instead. The elders were all clear this wasn't his fault yet refrained from pardoning him. If they'd trade places they would do the same. If not, they'd be accused of rash thinking and that would be used as an excuse by some others to remove them. Who would believe that a fresh bone-tempering kid could kill a profound heaven-seasoned expert if not for it happening before countless eyes? Valley Lord Yu Ming might have erred, but he had no control over what happened. Our first priority is to deal with the aftermath. This was spoken by the first elder on the right as he stood up. Tianyu Empire's mighty clans have set their sights on us. If we let that kid go unpunished, what will the people think? We will become the laughingstock of the empire and our vassal clans will abandon us. Yu Wanshan frowned, his eyes filled with cruelty. Grand Elder is right. We cannot let that punk get away with this. Wasn't he some steward of Luo clan? We'll make the Luo clan answer for his transgression. Valley Lord, you mustn't. A deep and worried voice traveled from an old man with raven hair, seated on the opposite side of Grand Elder. Yu Wanshan snorted. Second Elder, what are you trying to say? Do you think it's all right for someone to kill our people, shame us and then walk away? What will others think of Hell Valley? Valley Lord, I am not stopping you from settling this debt. Only. Second Elder muttered something before resuming. Valley Lord should remember the ban the Emperor enacted a year ago on the 7 houses, which was against stepping foot in Windgaze City. If we breach it openly, it will give the imperial family the excuse to strike. Second Elder makes a fair point. This is not the time to move in the open. And there are also reports that the imperial family and Veiled Dragon Pavilion's experts are patrolling nearby Windgaze City. We will fall into their trap if we go. Grand Elder urged. Eyeing the 2 most respected elders, Yu Wanshan hesitated for a while before spatting through gritted teeth. We can't do this, we can't do that. What else can we actually do? Even the elders turned silent. Yu Wanshan sighed. This wouldn't have been such a headache if the 7th elder was here. Blasted punk, he managed to rob me of my wisest advisor. When I get my hands on you, I will skin you alive. Seeing them all pensive, the kneeling Yu Ming darted his eyes left and right before making a tentative remark. Valley Lord, may disciple be so bold as to convey a solution. Humph, the elders' meeting is not something you can join. Get the hell out. Yu Wanshan barked without even looking at Yu Ming. But Grand Elder's gesture detained him. Valley Lord, the kid can be considered as 7th elder's successor. Why not give him a chance? Yu Wanshan conceded when he heard the Grand Elder's reason. Yu Ming's heart burst with joy as he rushed to explain. Valley Lord, this disciple's humble opinion is to ignore the Luo clan. From my observation, Luo clan is relying on Zhuo Fan. With him around, even if we remove the Luo clan, it will only make it worse for us. But if Zhuo Fan is out of the picture, then the Luo clan will fall from grace. They will have no hope of replacing us. Hell Valley. Yu Wanshan's eyes flickered. Go on. Yes. His mouth twisted in a smile. Yu Ming said, we cannot approach Windgaze City, but Zhuo Fan is nowhere near it either. We just need to focus all our efforts in dealing with him. And how will we find him? Yu Wanshan questioned. Issue the Hell Kill Order and have the Empire corner him. Yu Ming revealed his savage side. We will then know where he is going, and before he returns to Windgaze City, we can just ambush him. Yu Wanshan cackled. Good, that's what we'll do. Men. He then shouted orders. In my name as Hell Valley's leader, I declare the Hell Kill Order on Zhuo Fan. Anyone who provides clues to his location can become a vassal to Hell Valley. Anyone who brings me his head will become Hell Valley's #1 vassal, ruling above all others. Yu Wanshan's sinister laughter echoed, to which Yu Ming followed up with a vile smile. Zhuo Fan, you abomination. I won't dare face you, but now you have the whole empire after your head. Grand Elder smiled. As I thought, this kid is still thinking about revenge. But the elder didn't care since Zhuo Fan was the enemy of Hell Valley. Grand Elder stated, Valley Lord, even if we declare Hell Kill Order on Zhuo Fan, since he killed 7th elder, the weak clans won't be his match. I think we will have to act if we want to end him after all. Then all elders move out. Kill that bastard. Wait. Grand Elder gestured. He killed 7th Elder. Elders below 7th won't be of any help. From Minger's retelling of him, he must be a body-refining demonic cultivator. The only ones who can stand up to him are the first 5 elders. Furthermore, he turned to a red-haired elder. 5th Elder, you refined your body with the scorching demon flame. Your unbreakable body is the perfect match for that kid. Don't look at me. Yet the man in question shook his hands again and again while smirking. I am about to join Drifting Flowers Edifice's 100-pill meeting. I don't have the time to run around after some snot-nosed brat. Humph, what's so great being invited by women to a meeting to discuss about pills? Is going there more important than taking revenge for the house? Yuanshan snapped. Grand Elder lightened the atmosphere with a smile. Valley Lord, the Drifting Flowers Edifice may be made up of women, but they are still one of the 7 houses. Establishing a close relationship will only work in our favor. They extended an invitation to 5th Elder since they took an interest in his fire attribute cultivation method, in hope of refining new pills. Humph, how did a bunch of skanks climb up to our position? One day I will personally go and take over their domain. Yuanshan said viciously. Grand Elder shook his head. Valley Lord, I would like to have Yu Ming participate in 7th Elder's place in our future elder meetings. Staring at Yu Ming, Yuanshan nodded. Fine, raise him well, as the next insidious demon, ha ha ha. Yu Ming was overjoyed in his bowing. Meanwhile, in Blackwind Mountain, Captain Pang was cultivating by sitting on 36 blades. His body was riddled with scars. While cultivating, black tendrils of energy would leave his body, drift around the blades and return back to him. But as each black tendril went back into his body, a new bloody scar adorned his wrecked body, making him frown. Suddenly, a shadow grew before him and Lei Yuding came from behind. Cracking his eyelids, Captain Pang stood up with a smirk. Miss Lei's elusive shadow art is becoming more and more outstanding. I didn't even notice you were coming. Humph, your wraith art isn't any less impressive. Reaching bone tempering stage in just a year. You're making those clan's geniuses jealous. It's all because of Brother Zhua. Captain Pang laughed and peeked next to him. Not 5 meters from him, a 15-year-old was braving above other blades as sweat marred his brow and trailed along his scarred body. But around him were corpses riddled with wounds, as if hacked by countless edged weapons. Damn it, what kind of vile method are you cultivating? Lei Yuding cursed. Captain Pang replied with indifference. Of the 20 kids you sent, only 1 barely made it. Send me another batch. With just 1 survivor you want more? Lei Yuding raised her voice in shock. Captain Pang smirked. It's actually quite a good result. For 50 to die while training in this art is normal. But for Luo clan, everything is worth it. Humph, you are hard at cultivating. And what is that brother of yours doing? Snorting, Lei Yuding fetched a paper. He killed Hell Valley's 7th Elder, and they've issued a kill order. What? Captain Pang burst into laughter. Brother Zhua truly does incredible things, shaking the world everywhere he goes. Then he patted Lei Yuding's shoulder. Miss Lei, don't be too worried. With Brother Zhua's skills, Hell Valley's order won't affect him. Humph, who the hell cares about him? Lei Yuding muttered through gnashed teeth. He just went and provoked Hell Valley over a girl. Since when was he so goody-goody? Captain Pang grinned. So that's what it was, ha ha ha. Sometimes brothers will quite like striking a heroic figure. Hero? My ass. You think I don't know him? Sighing, Lei Yuding turned into a shadow and vanished. Captain Pang shouted the next moment. Don't mention this to young miss, especially the last part. But Lei Yuding's response didn't come. Captain Pang sighed. Women. Chapter 84 Wraith Style. Chapter 84 Wraith Style. Achoo! Who's badmouthing me behind my back? In a secluded forest, Zhuofan scratched his nose and set his eyes on a 100-meter-tall rock. He suddenly flexed his legs and jumped, with the wings behind him flashing with lightning. Wraith-style first move, soaring demonic dragon. Roar! A black draconic image flashed with him at its center. The dragon intertwined with the lightning and smashed into the rock. Boom! The rock crumbled like a stack of cards and Zhuofan came out with a flash. Then he turned around and unleashed a black claw at the rubble. Wraith-style second move. Ghostly Dragon Claw. It was lackluster compared to the previous thundering explosion, but it made up for it with visual impact, turning the rubble to sand. The tremors even frightened the birds away. Zhuofan gasped as he continued sweating, but his hands kept dancing through gestures, aiming for the flock of birds. Wraith-style third move. Necro Dragon Screech. Roar. The sound was eerie, akin to a demon. Zhuofan's wail even made ripples through the air as it swept the flock of birds. The birds froze mid-air, their eyes blanked and fell dead. One look would spot thousands of dead birds. Zhuofan was now reduced to a gasping mess, crouching down with a downcast look. This low profound ranked martial art matched the Wraith art. Each strike held enough power to shake the earth and kill instantly. Although ranked low, it was nonetheless strong as a mid-profound ranked martial art. The problem was the high requirement these moves had on the body, making it viable only to Wraith art cultivators. But with Zhuofan's refined body, he long surpassed it. In theory, these moves should have been easy for him to execute. Yet the fact remained, only after training in them for a month did he realize that he didn't lack in the body department, but in the soul. He was in the first layer of bone tempering stage, and using profound ranked martial art almost exhausted his Yuan Qi. The last move, in particular Necro Dragon Screech, was a soul attack that could only be trained when one was in the radiant stage. With his body and soul refined, his soul power shot up, and even with the added benefit of the azure flame, he just barely succeeded. But it didn't stop him from feeling his vision swoon and collapse. Goddammit! These moves will be the death of me. If I don't kill my enemy with these, he will kill me. Zhuofan sighed and sat cross-legged to recover his Yuan Qi. Killing Yugiki stirred up a hornet nest. He was bound to stumble on a far stronger opponent, and needed to protect himself by training powerful martial arts. As a consequence, he hid for over a month in the mountains to practice, yet the outcome wasn't in the least bit reassuring. Half a day later, Zhuofan stood up with a rosy complexion, having recovered. His hand flashed and was now holding a large egg. He looked at the singed marks on the egg with worry. The Thunder Skylark egg was still alive thanks to its mother's spiritual energy, but this only put a delay on things. If he wanted to hatch it, he'd first have to restore its vitality. Just where am I supposed to look for the needed spiritual herbs in this vast world? The egg wasn't fully developed yet, and common herbs wouldn't do any good. He'd need those rare treasures capable of snatching a man's life from the jaws of imminent death. Zhuofan couldn't help but frown at this thought. Songyu, hand over the body-tempering pill if you know what's good for you. A sudden shout interrupted Zhuofan's musings. His face darkened and walked over. Who's the bastard that dares disturb my peace? Pushing a branch aside, Zhuofan saw a man and a woman driving a carriage. The man was around 20 with fine features and at first layer of bone tempering stage cultivation, while the woman was of similar age, charming complexion, and in the second layer. They were surrounded by 6 men, of who 5 were in the 8-9 layer of bone tempering stage, and the last one, an old man, was in the 6th. The pair was now staring daggers at the old man. Humph, the body tempering pill was made by us, the Song clan, through a secret formula to join in the 100-pill meeting. You think I'm just going to give it away? The man snorted and a first-grade spiritual weapon appeared in his hand. Zhuofan smiled in derision. The body tempering pill was a 4th-grade pill, useful in tempering one's bones, and also useful in aiding a 9th-layer qi condensation cultivator in breaking through to the bone tempering stage. The only downside was that it could only be used once. For the genius Zhuofan, who was worry-free about breaking through to bone tempering stage, this pill was garbage. And this crappy pill was made from a secret formula. What a bunch of weaklings. But the bloodshot-eyed old man thought otherwise. Ha ha ha, Songyu Songqian, aren't the two of you in the bone tempering stage at such a young age thanks to it? Your third-rate clan, which sees the secret formula for a 4th-grade pill, is being too greedy. It's best if you just hand it over. Humph, we would rather die. Songqian and Songyu charged at the old man, who did the same. Bam! From just a single palm attack, both of them drew wide arcs in the air trailed by their blood. Despite being in the same stage, the difference of 5 to 6 layers wasn't something they could overcome. Miss Songqian, is this necessary? Be good and hand the pill and its formula. Are you going to force this old man into patting down the both of you? The old man eyed Songqian's enticing curves and let out lascivious laughter. Songqian glared with hatred but then sighed and looked at her brother. Are you scared? I am not. Song Yu steeled himself. Then let us die together. At least the clan's formula won't land in that old bastard's hands. Songqian made a downcast smile and raised Song Yu's spiritual weapon to their necks. This scene stirred Zhuofan's heart, his mind drifting to the siblings in the Windgaze city. They would have had the same ending if I wasn't compelled by the heart demon at that time. Sighing, Zhuofan shot a leaf at the pair. Whoosh! Just when it was about to slit their throats, the weapon fell off her hands. Who's there? Both the siblings and the old man shouted anxiously. Is it really necessary to kill them over a 4th-grade pill? Zhuofan stepped out of the tree line. The old man laughed. Here I was nervous who might come, and it's only a brat fresh into the bone-tempering stage. He mocked Zhuofan. Kid, aren't you a demonic cultivator? Everyone knows demonic cultivators are the most savage and ruthless bunch out there. And you have the cheek to preach me on mercy? I'm not preaching mercy but power. Zhuofan sneered. Now that I have witnessed this matter, you can't kill them. Humph, with just you. The old man's eyes glinted with malice as Songqian shouted anxiously, Little brother, run. Save yourself and forget about us. Run? Too late. While Songqian was urging him, the old man charged at Zhuofan with a snicker. Kid, you only got yourself to blame for poking your nose where it does not belong. The siblings could only close their eyes to be spared of the horror. Yet with a crisp sound, Zhuofan stood unfazed while the old man fell in a pool of blood, headless. The laughing old man was dead in an instant, and despite the others having smiles on their faces, their eyes were filled with terror. They clearly saw how Zhuofan made a casual attack and popped the old man's head. Monster! A scream echoed and the others ran for their lives. Zhuofan didn't care about them and turned to leave. Wait! Songqian called. Her eyes were in shock of Zhuofan's immense strength despite similar cultivation levels. It was as different as heaven and earth. Chapter 85, 100-Pill Meeting. Chapter 85, 100-Pill Meeting. What is it? Zhuofan asked as he turned slowly. He noticed the elegant beauty, yet he didn't bat an eyelid. Songqian was the one to be affected by his gaze instead, blushing and lowering her head. I have yet to know little brother's name. One day, the Song clan will repay you for saving our lives. No need. Saying so, Zhuofan started leaving. Startled, Songqian felt somewhat discouraged in her heart. All males in 100 miles of Song clan would be speechless in her presence, yet Zhuofan gave her the cold shoulder. This led to the rising discontent inside her. She skipped before Zhuofan and stopped him by raising her hand. But he just frowned. Is there anything else? This fool. Songqian was cursing inside but showed an enticing smile on the outside. Little brother, where are you planning on going? None of your business. Zhuofan bypassed her with a snort. Songqian's mouth was twitching as she shouted. We are on our way to 100-Pill Meeting. Why not join us? Zhuofan paused, then turned. Drifting Flower City, the home of Drifting Flower's edifice, one of the 7 noble houses. Exactly, nodded Song Yu as he rushed over. Drifting Flower's edifice holds the 100-Pill Meeting once a decade. It is a gathering where famous alchemists from clans around the empire compete over their refining method. If luck would have it, the Drifting Flower's edifice would take notice of you and take you in as a vassal clan. Zhuofan scratched his nose. 100-Pill Meeting is bound to have plenty of rare ingredients, and the chance is high for me to find the treasures to restore the egg. He made a lopsided grin. Your words caught my interest. I would very much like to see the 100-Pill Meeting. Great! Let's go together. Songqian jumped in joy. Zhuofan smiled. Assuming another identity while entering one of the 7 houses isn't a bad idea. The Song siblings were glad he agreed. With Zhuofan's strength, nothing would stop them from reaching Drifting Flower City. Oh, what do I call little brother? A Luo fan. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose. He could no longer risk giving his real name, not since Blue Expanse City. He figured the entire Qianyu Empire was privy to his name by now. Then again, he was Luo clan's steward, and using their name was perfectly normal. Songqian Songyu. The two introduced. Zhuo Fan then followed the sister and entered the carriage, which had various ingredients strewn about, while the younger brother drove it. But Zhuo Fan didn't even spare these plain items a glance. Songqian kept making eyes with Zhuo Fan, but seeing her efforts hit a wall, she turned awkwardly to look out the window. But then she burst into a giggle with a red face. Seeing this, Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. She either lost it or is smitten. I wouldn't have gone with them if I knew. Throughout the trip, Songqian treated him like a rare breed, eyeing him at every chance. He tried his hardest in switching places with Songyu, but the kid turned him down and he was forced to endure the doe eyes from Songyu's sister. After a long half a month, the carriage slowly approached a city's gates. Songyu laughed. Brother Luo, sister, we're here. About freakin' time. Zhuo Fan stepped out in a rush from the red-hot gaze of the other passenger. But then he cursed when he noticed the gate. How in the hell is this drifting flower city? Why did you even stop here? The plaque above the gate read, Orchid City. This wasn't under any of the 7 houses' jurisdiction, but the imperial family. Ha ha ha, Brother Luo, calm yourself. An old friend of my father stays here. We've come to Orchid City to buy ingredients from him before setting out to 100-pill meeting. Hearing this, Zhuo Fan could only sigh. Will my suffering ever end? Songqian stepped out and glared. Do you hate being around me? Zhuo Fan just shrugged. But Songyu laughed and revealed a vulgar smile. Brother Luo, I know exactly how you feel. I am the same, itching to get to Drifting Flowers City. They say the 15 overseers of Drifting Flowers edifice are like fairies, and the edifice lord an outstanding beauty, proclaimed as the #1 beauty in the empire. If I can see her once, my life is fulfilled. Songyu wore an intoxicated look. It was as if he could really see them, but then he woke up and noticed his sister looking glum and disdained. But even my sister's beauty is hard to come by. Although how could a man pick just one, when the world is filled with ravishing beauties? Xiaoyu, what did you say? Songqian heard him and her glare sent him shivering. Zhuo Fan just shook his head. They're a pair of clowns, one love-struck, the other a moron. I need to get far away from them or I'll find myself at their level soon. Qianer. Their conversation was interrupted when they heard a shout. Songqian stiffened, knowing who the person was. It came from a finely clothed young man, who looked casual and confident in his demeanor. He was around 20 years old and in the 4th layer of bone tempering stage. Songqian, however, seemed not too eager in seeing him, giving an awkward greeting, Brother Tianlei. Songyu also stiffened, whispering to Zhuo Fan. He is Qi Tianlei, Orchid City's top clan's young master. The Qi clan is an old friend of ours, but they are a second-rate clan and they always make a point to show it. Also, Qi Tianlei is crazy for my sister. Zhuo Fan sighed, already feeling regret following this pair. The Luo clan and Song clan were similar, but the former had the privilege of demonic emperor gracing them with his presence, elevating it to a first-rate clan. Similar people, different fates. Qianer, who's he? Even as Qi Tianlei was caressing Songqian's fair hand, he was always watching the other two. But while his eyes were filled with contempt for Songyu, it revealed only hostility towards Zhuo Fan. He is Brother Luo, our friend. Songqian was fearful of Qi Tianlei, but even with a tremor in her voice, she tried to protect Zhuo Fan. She then rushed to change topics. Tianlei, how did you know we're coming today? I received Uncle Song's letter and estimated when you'd arrive. Qi Tianlei spoke casually, then marched before Zhuo Fan, pushing aside Songqian who blocked his way. Who are you to Qianer? Brother Qi, he is my friend. Bam! Qi Tianlei slapped Songyu away. I wasn't asking you. He turned toward Zhuo Fan with a wild look. Speak, what is there between you two? Zhuo Fan saw Songqian helping her brother. Looking at their terrified states, he knew they were oppressed by this young master of the Qi clan. On our way we ate together and slept together. We practically never left the carriage. You tell me if there's anything between us. Songqian was shocked. knowing he did it just to spite Qi Tianlei. And Qi Tianlei's eyes were now bloodshot as he unleashed his power. "Wretched filth, I will have your head," he declared as he threw himself at Zhuo Fan. But Zhuo Fan remained calm and unmoving. Then a sudden sound was heard and a ripple spread from Zhuo Fan's chest. Ice-cold killing intent swept everyone's minds, freezing them. They were scared as rabbits, powerless to even resist it. Qi Tianlei looked as if he was seeing a demon from hell, shivering all the while. As for his fury, it vanished into nothing. Killing with intent was a Radiant Stage expert's absolute power. Zhuo Fan was no Radiant Stage expert, but his soul was strong enough to train in the Wraith Style's Necro Dragon's Screech. It was far from being able to kill with intent but enough to scare. This was a feat not even a profound heaven expert was capable of, yet a freak of nature like Zhuo Fan could. Strolling before the shivering Qi Tianlei, Zhuo Fan whispered in his ear, "The next time you try showing off before me, I will end you." Qi Tianlei hit the ground with a thud and couldn't stop sweating, while the Song siblings stood shell-shocked. Chapter 86 Murder Fest. Chapter 86 Murder Fest. He scared them into submission without lifting a finger. Just how was he a bone-tempering cultivator? Song Qian and Song Yu saw a whole new Zhuo Fan and their hearts started racing. Whoosh! Suddenly a figure landed before Qi Tianlei. He checked the young master and became enraged finding him unconscious. Who did this? The newcomer whipped his head back and roared, his eyes flickering with flames of rage. But then he noticed Zhuo Fan and all of a sudden his anger diffused. Zhuo Fan frowned and took a much closer look at him. The man was around 40 years old with a beard and at peak bone tempering stage. From the fine clothes he was wearing, it was clear he was a clan head. Song Qian, who was roused from her shock by the shout, began apologizing with tears welling in her eyes. "Forgive me, uncle, it's all my fault. Take it out on me." The man's eyes then noticed the Song siblings and his gloomy face cleared up with a laugh. "Ha ha ha, so it is Qianer. I was wondering why this brat ran so fast to the city gate. Seems like it was to welcome honored guests. So it was all a misunderstanding. Come, follow me to our home. You've come a long way to Orchid City, it must have been tiring. As your host, I'll do my best to make you comfortable." The man overlooked Qi Tianlei's situation and simply shouldered the unconscious fellow as he took the lead. The way he switched tunes real quick, and how he took sideways glances on and off at Zhuo Fan, the latter felt it as a warning. What was all that about being looked down on by Qi clan? You were clearly trying to fool me. Zhuo Fan smirked. This uncle of yours cares for you even more than Qi Tianlei, ignoring even his scared silly son. Why would he? He is Qi Ganglai, the Qi clan head, and not once did he look kindly on us. Song Yu said confused, but today he's like a different person. Qi Tianlei is his only son, the apple of his eye. Something odd is going on for him to ignore his son's plight. Yeah, baffling. Zhuo Fan scoffed. Song Qian watched Qi Ganglai leave, then turned to the other two. What's so strange? He must be in a good mood today, so don't make assumptions. At least he didn't pursue it, or we would have been worse off. Just him. Zhuo Fan sneered. What could a peak bone tempering cultivator amount to when not even a profound heaven expert was a match for Zhuo Fan? As his strength grew exponentially, he felt the return of his confidence as the demonic emperor. But anyway, the Song siblings were clueless to his strength. Song Qian walked to him with quick steps, then rolled her eyes. I know you're great, but that's within the bone tempering stage. Could you handle a profound heaven expert? If you get on their bad side, not even we can help you. Zhuo Fan scoffed. Song Qian shook her head, but her eyes never left Zhuo Fan. His haughty and condescending attitude stirred her maiden heart. In fact, she felt oddly safe next to him, something she never felt with anyone before. The Qi clan welcomed the trio in their residence, and before they could leave to purchase any ingredients, the Qi clan head's message came that he wanted to reminisce with the siblings. Without a choice, Song Qian and Song Yu went to see Qi Ganglai, while Zhuo Fan was left alone in the guest house. Now I can finally get some cultivation done in peace and quiet. 6 hours later, the door creaked open. Zhuo Fan, sitting on his bed, saw the Song siblings tiptoeing inside. Did you finish your talk with Qi Ganglai? Song Qian and Song Yu jumped in fright, then nodded woodenly, their eyes full of fear. What's up? Was that old coot hard on you? Zhuofan asked with suspicion. They both denied. The more Zhuofan looked at them, the more he felt his suspicion grow. Song Qian laughed dryly. Judish, Brother Luo, Qi clan head is holding a feast in our welcome. Come join us. Zhuofan smiled. Since it is for you too, I won't go as I don't know him. You can't. Song Yu exclaimed, but tried to save the situation and dispel Zhuofan's doubts with a forced laughter. Brother Luo, this is the Qi clan's residence. The clan head even threw a welcoming feast for us. It would be crass of us if we are not present. Zhuofan raised an eyebrow. Do I have to? Yes. They both nodded. Zhuofan stood up with a sneer and said, Lead the way. We must join the festivities if he went so far as to invite us, even if it ends up a murder fest. His words had the two siblings shivering and looking guilty. Arriving at the hall, they saw Qi Ganglai seated on the main seat with a smile while 9 other bone-tempering elders flanked his sides at a round table. Looking closely, the table had 3 lone empty seats in the furthest corner of the hall, with walls on either side of them. Zhuofan secretly mocked them. It's ridiculously obvious that they want to attack me. The fact my seat is in the worst possible position proves it. Can't you be any more obvious? He let out a faint smile and didn't let it get to him. Even if they attack together, their end is still the same. Zhuofan and the siblings arrived at their seats with a fake smile. Qian'er, Xiaoyu, I am most pleased with your visit to our city. Uncle shall toast to you for your success in the Drifting Flowers City and joining the Drifting Flowers edifice. Qi Ganglai laughed as he drank. The others followed suit, and the Song siblings were no exception. Yet Zhuofan only brought the cup to his nose and then sported a wide and ineffable grin before placing it on the table. Qi Ganglai frowned a bit as the atmosphere grew tense. Ha ha ha. Little brother is called Luofan, right? Qian'er told me about you, how you looked after them on your journey. I shall toast in gratitude. Qi Ganglai drank another cup. Yet Zhuofan was as still as a rock. This time the people around the table eyed Zhuofan viciously. Qi Ganglai gave them looks to calm down and said, Brother Luo, I am the Qi clan head and am offering you a toast. Aren't you going to reply in kind? As wine takes a heavy toll on one's body, I have learned to abstain from drinking. Zhuofan grinned, and I'd recommend Qi clan head do the same. Who knows what mistakes one can make in their drunk haze. You might earn the ire of someone you should not and end up destroying yourself and your clan. His knuckles white on the cup, Qi Ganglai felt the sweat trickling down his brow. The others were also growing anxious. Taking a moment to calm his nerves, Qi Ganglai continued with a fake smile. Little brother is wise beyond his age. I understand now how you could become a bone-tempering cultivator at such a young age. But a youth should be more impulsive and learn to live in the moment. Enjoy the simple pleasures of life. Qi Ganglai laughed, hinting at the cup before Zhuofan. The latter shook his head. Life is enjoyable as long as you have it. I am young and don't plan on leaving this wonderful world just yet. Losing his patience, Qi Ganglai rose from his seat and shouted, What do you mean by this? Ha ha ha, cut the act. You know who I am, else you wouldn't have set up such an obvious trap. Zhuofan lifted his glass and tipped it. The wine touched the table and sizzled in white smoke before eating through it. 100 Bane Pill. Refined from a 4th-grade spiritual beast. The scarlet poison python's venom. With a mocking grin, he stared at Qi Ganglai. Most of all, these bone-tempering experts must be your elders. Even for a junior's welcoming feast, this is too much of an honor. Sighed Clanhead, it was really hard to fake overlooking it, you know? Ha ha ha, can you be any more obvious? Zhuofan's mockery had Qi Ganglai flushed with anger, and gasping in an attempt to calm himself down. Damn it. Since it fell through, then I'll cut to the chase. Qi Ganglai roared and his power froze the Song siblings in their seats. Zhuofan, you messed with Hell Valley, and they issued the Hell Kill order on you, making you the #1 target of the Empire. Rather than let others have you, I'll take your head and claim the Hell Kill order's reward for myself. Elders, attack. Chapter 87 Betrayal. Chapter 87 Betrayal. At Qi Gonglia's order, the 9 elders pounced. The tremendous pressure had the Song siblings frozen in panic, unable to move an inch. Yet Zhuo Fan smiled as he flipped the table. Boom! Among the splinters there was no shadow of Zhuo Fan around. The elders looked around in a daze. Here I am. The ridicule came from behind. They didn't even have time to turn as an elder's skull blew up in a spray of blood and gore. Zhuo Fan dusted a piece off his hand as he jeered. The first. The elders were speechless from the show of strength Zhuo Fan displayed. He was in the same stage as them and was attacked from every direction, yet he still managed to pull off a kill. The rumors were true, you really are a monster. No wonder 7th elder died at your hands. Qi Gonglia's eyes shivered as he watched Zhuo Fan in fear. Zhuo Fan looked down on him with a smile. And you chose to attack anyway. Hell Valley can't hold me and you think you have what it takes? Fortune favors the bold. The bigger the danger, the greater the reward. Qi Ganglai grinned as he charged with a crazed look. An image of a tiger appeared behind him as he charged. Mid-spirit ranked martial art? Tiger fist. Roar! The tiger's image superimposed on Qi Gonglia's movements, but Zhuo Fan stood there with a sneer and punched out. Bam! The noise was jarring to the ears and the Song siblings were forced to curl up on the ground while hugging their heads. The tiger pushed Zhuo Fan 10 meters back, his legs leaving 2 trails in the floor while the tiger itself turned into golden motes of energy and died out. Then a blood-curdling scream resounded as Qi Gonglia's hand was split open. Clan head! The elders cried out in panic, yet the man only had eyes for Zhuo Fan, watching him in fear. God damn it, what kind of freak is he? How is he so damn hard? From their exchange, he knew he had the upper hand in terms of Yuan Qi, but Zhuo Fan's body was as hard as a rock as if it was freakin' refined to be a spiritual weapon. What the hell are you? Qi Ganglai panted. You're no human. Smirking, Zhuo Fan's eyes gleamed with savagery. Regardless, it doesn't concern you. He then took a step forward, mystifying phantom step. He appeared before 3 elders and struck before they could react, burying his fist into their chests. The elders were still baffled as to what happened to their clan head's hand, but now they finally figured out this little devil was inhuman. Where could one find a man who could casually punch through 3 bone-tempering experts? The Song siblings were dumbstruck. Although they had some semblance of knowledge about Zhuo Fan's abilities, this went beyond their wildest imaginations. Zhuo Fan's power allowed him to be in control despite surrounded by experts, even squashing them like bugs. This was absolute power. Everyone present there looked at him with grave faces and terrified minds. Zhuo Fan, I was rash and overconfident in provoking you. Please, on account of Qian'er and Xiaoyu, let us go and we will never cross paths again. Qi Ganglai knew the matter was only going to get worse and capitulated. However, Zhuo Fan wasn't someone who was soft when it came to punishing his enemies. He mocked, Qi clan head, I warned you to think twice about the consequences. And as for those 2, Zhuo Fan turned to the siblings. Since when do traitors have any value? Qi Ganglai, are you looking down on me? Or do you really expect too much from them? Song Qian and Song Yu felt deep regret. Luo, no brother Zhuo, we were forced to do it, please. Talk is cheap. Zhuo Fan cut off Song Qian with his frosty tone. Actions are louder than words. Leave. And make sure we never meet again. Pursing her lips, Song Qian hung her head in regret while Song Yu sighed. Qi Ganglai saw Zhuo Fan unwilling to compromise and blew a gasket. Zhuo Fan, you will regret pitting yourself against my entire clan. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Can you take me down with you? Zhuo Fan sneered. Qi Gonglia's face alternated between green and white, spatting through gritted teeth. Elders all together. Yes, clan head. The remaining 5 elders jumped at Zhuo Fan in unison, each of them resigned to death, executing their best moves. Zhuo Fan knew they wanted to exchange their lives for his, but it mattered little. With a crackle, lightning flashed and his wings unfolded, flying around them. The 5 elders' moves hadn't even finished before they were split in 2, splattering the ground in blood and painting it red. Humph, barely worth the effort. Zhuo Fan scoffed. Whoosh! Suddenly, a faint streak of blue rushed at Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan discovered Qi Ganglai sporting a sly grin. He used the elders as bait in releasing his true killing move, this dagger. You think you can beat me with this lousy trick? Zhuofan sneered as he flew. Yet just then, a tender cry followed by a graceful figure came right before him. Watch out! Following a grunt, blood splattered, and Song Qian struggled to stand with black blood flowing from her mouth. Sister! With a wail, Song Yu rushed to catch her weak body. But Song Qian only had eyes for Zhuofan, working hard to muster the strength to look at him. Forgive us, we didn't want it to come to this. Zhuofan just sighed. Damn bitch, you ruined everything. I will kill you. Having his plan thwarted, Qi Ganglai flew into a rage and charged at the siblings. Snorting, Zhuofan's wings flickered like swords. In a blink, Qi Ganglai stopped and fell to pieces with blood and viscera oozing. The Qi clan experts were vanquished. Zhuofan then started inspecting Song Qian's wound. He noticed the dagger stuck in her shoulder, and black blood seeping around its blade. He pulled it out and frowned. It's poisonous. Poison. Song Yu grew frantic and was close to tears. It must be one of the Qi clan's poisons. I will check their stores to see if they have an antidote. Sister, you must hold on. Song Yu wiped his tears and left. Wait. Zhuofan jumped to his feet to stop Song Yu, but a frail hand caught his arm. He looked down at the pale Song Qian. Don't go. Song Qian's faint voice came. Zhuofan gave a curt nod and steadied her by placing his palm on her back. I only wanted to tell your brother this poison can be removed with Yuan Qi. Ha ha ha, he is always impulsive unlike you. A faint smile adorned Song Qian's wan face and her delicate hand touched his. A pair of glistening eyes locked his own in an unshakable gaze that unnerved Zhuofan. He felt as if they were back in the carriage. Worried about her state, he rushed to clear the poison. However, when his Yuan Qi entered her body, he found a problem. Why can't I find its source? This hardly ever happened. Based on his experience, there were two reasons. One, because she never got poisoned, and two, this type of poison couldn't be sensed with Yuan Qi. He found Song Qian's health deteriorating and came to a decision. Since Yuan Qi was useless, the second method implied drawing out the poison. But the wound's close position to her chest made it hard not to encroach upon her dignity. This will make it terribly awkward. Chapter 88 Trap. Chapter 88 Trap. What is it? Song Qian found Zhuofan making an odd expression and asked. After muttering to himself, Zhuofan spoke. That is, the only choice is to suck the poison out. Song Qian understood from his hesitation and her pale face was tinted pink. Then sorry to trouble you. Song Qian's soft voice rang hard in his ears. The delicate and charming look would stir anyone's sympathy. Licking his dry lips, Zhuofan ripped her clothes around the wound and exposed her fair skin. Song Qian shuddered as she closed her eyes with a red face. She knew what was about to happen, but when her clothes tore, she still gasped. Then 1,000 pardons, Miss Song. Zhuofan forced a smile in this awkward situation and neared his mouth to the wound, beginning to draw the poison out. But the longer he sucked, the more doubts sprouted. Why is the blood spicy? Why is Song Qian's blood normal? As if she wasn't poisoned to begin with. However, he pushed aside all conflicting thoughts and kept sucking to make sure she was out of harm's way. That is, until her blood turned scarlet again. I've taken most of the poison out, so there should be no problems. Zhuofan let out a breath he was holding, but his eyes were clouded with more doubts. Then, a smoking hot body hugged him and two tender arms curled around his neck. Zhuofan was startled. Miss Song, what? Song Qian's hot breath entered his ear. Zhuofan, do you know? I liked you the moment I saw you. Zhuofan's eyes darted left and right, his tone wavering. Miss Song, your brother will be here soon. Never mind him. Song Qian's tongue left a trail on his cheek, making him feel as if a bolt of lightning had struck him. I only want you next to me. She didn't give him the chance to put up any resistance as she drew his head into a hot kiss. As his eyes grew lost, his heart was thoroughly shocked and his mind blanked. He reached the demonic emperor level because he always had cultivation in his mind, taking into account every step, every detail. So much so, he had overlooked the matters between a man and a woman. When Luo Yunchang and Lei Yuding stole a peck, It floored him, but this time his mind was literally blown. Damn it, I was born twice and a virgin each time. But never did I come upon such a battle. Then Zhuo Fan's eyes flared with irritation and pushed Song Qian away. What did you just give me? In his daze, he could still feel something entering his mouth and dissolving. Song Qian cried as she hit the ground. Then a burst of laughter echoed around him. Ha ha ha. Something marvelous, I'm sure. A black figure appeared and threw a large transparent bell over Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan exclaimed, "Fourth grade defensive spiritual weapon. Ha ha indeed. This is the Qi clan's treasure, Violet Canopy." The black figure landed in front of Zhuo Fan and revealed itself to be an aged man. His eyes were filled with glee and rancor. You're the Qi clan's profound heaven expert? Zhuo Fan tried to get up but his head swooned, falling back to his knees. What's going on? Am I poisoned? Ha ha ha, that's a powerful toxin of the Qi clan, Soul Devourer. The old man mocked. It targets one's soul and no one beneath Radiant Stage can last more than 2 hours. Even they will die 3 days later without our antidote. Zhuo Fan frowned. The old man saw through him and cackled. You must be wondering how you got poisoned? Let me tell you. The dagger wasn't poisoned, it was only dabbed in something to change the blood's color. The true poison was on Qianer's shoulder, which you were more than happy to suck out. 2 more figures walked next to Song Qian at this moment, Song Yu and Qi Tianlei. Song Qian and Song Yu appeared to be eaten by guilt, avoiding Zhuo Fan's eyes. But Qi Tianlei stared right at him through the cover he was in, with deep-seated hatred. You killed my dad. I will tie you to horses and have you ripped to pieces. Humph, I've seen my fair share of dishonorable old goats. But your Qi clan's elders take the cake. Zhuo Fan jeered. If I'm not mistaken, Qi Ganglai was the bait from the start, expecting me to kill him. In other words, you've all given up on him from the get-go. Having been exposed, Qi Tianlei was left speechless. But no matter how true it was, none of them would dare speak of it. Else he would earn the world's unanimous hatred and reviled gazes when word got out that a rotten son like him threw his father to the wolves all so he could snatch a bounty. Humph, who are you trying to deceive? Zhuo Fan sneered at the old man. You sure know how to play a big hand, using the clan head and 9 elders as small fries. The old man disregarded Zhuo Fan's jab with a laugh. And? I gave up my son, but I still have a grandson. It's all worth it for your head. Once we become Hell Valley's #1 vassal clan, we can have as many elders as we want. We will be stronger than ever. This little loss is nothing compared to the future glory of the Qi clan. Ha ha ha, that's how the ambitious act, shameless. Zhuo Fan praised, then derided them. But in the end, that old mind of yours is too narrow. You're paying such a heavy price only to become Hell Valley's #1 lapdog. You're bound to fail. If it were me, I would become the ruler of the continent with what you paid. Is this kid nuts? Can you even grasp how large the Tianyu Empire is, not to mention the continent? Just another loud mouth. The old man sneered. Now I know why you are so reviled, so set against Hell Valley. You're clearly insane. How can one common man possibly rule the entire continent? Humph, what does an ant know of the human stepping on it? Zhuo Fan shook his head and asked, Oh, I forgot to mention, but I do dab in alchemy myself, you know? If her shoulder had poison on it, I would have known. I heard you killed Yugiki. This speaks volumes of your own twisted mind for having fought him. You think we'd use common poison when dealing with you? The old man took on a haughty tone. Soul Devourer is a combination of 2 different medicines. One was on Qianer's shoulder, and the other was the one you just swallowed. Was that what she made me take when she kissed me? Precisely. That was also for her own safety. If she hadn't fed it to you, she'd be the one dying. The old man let out a manic grin. To end you, I have scoured every bit of rumor and information about you. Most of all about you sticking your head out for a little girl and offending Hell Valley. I know you're just one big softy inside. How ironic this came to be your downfall. Zhuo Fan mocked himself. Who knew my fight with Yugiki was twisted into a hero saving a damsel? Then again, it is true. Also, saving a woman was the first thing I did after I rebirthed, wasn't it? Shaking his head, Zhuo Fan was this close to labeling himself a lecher. Hey old goat, you sure employ vicious schemes, no less than Yugiki. Why thank you. The old man stuck his chin out in pride. Yugiki only had the luck of the draw in being born in one of the 7 houses. If I had such privilege, my achievements would have dwarfed his. Do you know what I'm called? Steel Fettering River Chi Weilin he. Shuafan had a grin himself. Steel Fettering River. Neither good nor bad. The one in your clutches can't beg for life, nor can die. Precisely. Chi Weilin laughed, speaking as if to a close friend. You see, this is the first time you've heard of me and you can already appreciate my title. No wonder you could beat Yugiki. I would hate to remove that pretty head of yours, but too bad it's worth so much. Think you have what it takes to reap my head? Shuafan mocked as his glabella lit up. Whoosh! An azure flame revealed itself along with the black smoke drifting out from it. The soul devourer was reduced to nothing before the power of this flame. Shuafan took his time getting back to his feet and surveyed the people with killing intent. I told you Geeky something when I killed him, and now I shall repeat it for you. In front of true power, all schemes and ploys are moot. Chapter 89 Cold-Blooded Slaughter. Chapter 89 Cold-Blooded Slaughter. Oh, P4553R. How could this be? Zhuofan's casual rise to his feet left everyone astonished, especially Chi Weilin. The Soul Devourer passed on through generations, a Radiant Stage expert killer, was dealt with just like that. What is that? Chi Weilin now noticed the azure flame on Zhuofan's forehead and exclaimed, Did that thing remove the poison? The flame vanished the next second and Zhuofan had a wicked grin plastered on his face. Ha ha ha, the dead needn't worry too much. All of them were startled and took a step back. They saw the terror Zhuofan could unleash, and his words only worked to unnerve them. But Chi Weilin gathered his courage when he noticed the violet canopy was still around Zhuofan. There's no need to worry, the brat is trapped under my spiritual weapon. There's no way. Roar. He didn't get the chance to finish his flimsy reasoning as a dragon roar echoed and a black light ran through his chest. With a jerk, Chi Weilin was left bleeding from his mouth. What just happened? As Chi Weilin wiped the blood away, he felt his body growing colder. His life was seeping away, yet he couldn't understand why. He looked towards Chi Tianlei and the Song siblings only to find them staring at his chest. Chi Weilin looked down and discovered a fist-sized black hole spurting blood. He noticed an identical hole at his back too. It was as if something had burrowed through his chest. How did this happen? Chi Weilin couldn't comprehend what had happened even on the brink of his death. But when he looked at Zhuofan, his eyes narrowed. Zhuofan was gasping beneath the violet canopy after using close to half of his energy, but his hand was still in the form of a dragon claw. It just so happened that there was also a fist-sized hole in the canopy, aligned with his chest. Only now did the horror and dread of what transpired got to Chi Weilin. Monster. To force your way through a 4th-grade spiritual weapon, with only your body strength. Bam! His body hit the ground hard. His eyes were still shocked and incredulous of what came to pass. Zhuofan killed him in an instant despite being trapped. Not even a profound heaven expert could display such power if they were in Zhuofan's place. He is an abomination that will end my clan. Along with the fear Chi Weilin felt, there was now endless regret. Ah! Song Qian cried in terror while fleeing. Chi Tianlei and Song Yu's knees softened. Shivering all the while they ran alongside her. Gasping, Zhuofan showed a vile smile of delight. Wraith-style second move, Ghostly Dragon Claw. Among the profound ranked martial arts, Zhuofan could only employ one move fully, yet it still sapped half of his strength. But the power makes it all worth it. The Wraith style was suited to a body cultivator. The stronger the body, the more outrageous the blows. However, the end result exceeded Zhuofan's imagination. It was a perfect match for his 5th-grade demonic treasure body. At first, he only thought of giving it a shot in breaking the 4th-grade spiritual weapon. Yet the result showed that the spiritual weapon was like paper in front of the ghostly dragon claw. I was right in my course of action. Since my freaky body refining worked, a stronger martial art was only fitting. Zhuofan revealed a radiant smile. Then, his wings whipped out with a flurry. Rumble! The broken violet canopy turned to pieces and Zhuofan eyed the trio in the distance with coldness. His wings flapped and he was on them in seconds. He then blocked their retreat and the trio stumbled to the ground with pale faces. Go ahead, run. Zhuofan's vile smile was a prelude to the horror that followed. Let's see who's faster, me or you. Why, young Master Zhuo, the Qi clan was blind not to see your greatness. You killed my grandfather and my dad, please let me go. Oh. Qi Tianlei was so scared by Zhuofan's twisted grin that he was pounding the ground with his forehead, all the while shedding bitter tears. Zhuofan gave a faint smile and hoisted him by his neck. Now that you said it, it's best I kill you too, to accompany them in death. Black tendrils left Zhuofan and burrowed into Qi Tianlei. In but seconds Qi Tianlei was turned to dust, scattered to the four winds. Oh. The Song siblings were close to having a mental breakdown witnessing such a gruesome murder. Zhuofan smiled. Is there anything you want to say at this point? In the end it was Song Qian who spoke through trembling lips. Brother Zhuo, we were compelled. The Song clan is a minor clan and can't offend even the Qi clan. Let my life douse your anger, but please leave the Song clan our last heir. Sister. Song Yu's tears flowed unabated as Song Qian looked at him with tenderness. Zhuofan shook his head with a mutter. You are just like them, with your clan in dire straits, and compelled to lower yourself. He then turned around and looked at the wide sky with a sigh. I wonder what they are doing right now? Wonder if my actions brought them more hardships. Are you speaking of Luo clan? Song Qian ventured. Zhuofan smiled. Indeed. You are so much alike that it makes it hard for me to do this. The siblings broke out a faint smile, but then came Zhuofan's cold tone. Such a pity. There is one part you are different in. Whoosh! Zhuofan's wings whipped and the siblings' heads traveled through the air before plopping on the ground. What made it even eerier was the faint smile of forlorn hope. You two are far shrewder. Zhuofan jeered. You two knew from where I come from and enacted such a heartfelt play thinking I was a moron. This is where you diverge from their demeanor, ha ha ha. Zhuofan left, uncaring of the corpses or the consequences. Not even of the wails coming from the Qi clan's home. A month later, 3 figures landed in the Qi clan's manor. They were dressed in gray and their leader was Hell Valley's second elder. He watched everything with a calculative eye and muttered, how come the Qi clan is so quiet? Humph, they have the nerve to say that they have clues about the runt and when we come, there's no one here at all. Another elder cursed, what is a mere second-rate clan trying to pull? Second elder huffed and then shouted, no, there's something wrong here. Third elder, fourth elder, check the surroundings. Moments after they left, a cry came from the back of Qi clan's manor. Second elder, third elder, come and take a look at this. Both of them appeared in a blink, but the sight left them speechless. What used to be a garden was now a cemetery housing 1,000 dead bodies in a towering pile. The rot assaulted their noses and painted an even gruesome picture with the swarm of flies around it. That punk is savage. He killed the whole Qi clan. Second elder spat. The other two were overwhelmed by the image of a kid ripping apart fleeing people and came to realize they were a far cry from his level when it came to viciousness. Such cold-blooded slaughter of an entire clan only came from offending the Tianyu Empire or the 7 houses. Second elder grew frantic. Elders, handle the corpses so that no one finds out about this. Why? Fool, if anyone comes to know of the dread this runt can instill, who else will muster the nerve to search for him? Second elder cursed, humph, Qi Weilin liked to flaunt himself as an equal for our 7th elder. He must have planned on taking the kid down all by himself and earning the reward. Look at what greed does to people. Overconfident fool. Scoffing, second elder left as a towering flame rose behind him. It swallowed the manor and the corpses, leaving only the ashes of the renowned Qi clan. An elder gazed upon the raging fire and asked second elder, what now? We separate. The look in second elder's eyes hardened. The 3 of us will go different ways. One of us is sure to be on the right track. What about the 4th direction? The elder frowned. If not for grand elder being in seclusion, the 4 of us would have been enough. Second elder shook his head. There's no need to concern ourselves with that direction. It leads to Drifting Flower City. If the brat dares to step foot in it, he'll have to face the 5th elder. Then he flew away. The other two elders also picked a direction and left. What was left behind was a desolate and eerie place void of people. So came to pass the number 1 clan in Orchid City, destroyed to the roots. Chapter 90 Scapegoat. Chapter 90 Scapegoat. The spring breeze rustles the shore's willow. I am riding in search of pills. One does not know the one he is facing. All because he can't gaze beyond his nose. This was the singing voice of a youth, who was driving his cart slowly on a road. If the Chi clan's recently departed ghosts were here, they'd be shocked to the core. Wasn't this their carriage? Wasn't the youth Songyu? Didn't he die? However, there was one thing out of place. This youth had a devious grin on his face, enough to scare the most wretched ghosts. His smile closely resembled that demon who annihilated their entire Chi clan. Who? The youth reined in the horses as he gazed to the distance, at the 3 words emblazoned on the gate, Drifting Flower City. I'm here at last. I hope this place has life-saving herbs, or it would be a true waste of time coming here. The youth grinned as he snapped the reins. But a shout delayed him. Stop! Following the yell, 6 people appeared around him. The youth gave them a once-over and rose an eyebrow. Hell Valley. Oh, quite perceptive. You recognize us? The leader scrutinized the youth in amazement. From the way you look, you seem like some clan's young master. State your name. The youth asked in puzzlement. Shouldn't Drifting Flowers City be managed by Drifting Flowers Edifice? Why? Cut the chat. A cursing voice cut him off. Hurry it up before I lose my patience. If this place didn't belong to Drifting Flowers Edifice, I would have killed you just from you being so slow on the uptake. The youth frowned, his eyes flashing with killing intent before suppressing it. I am Songyu and hail from Nitrain City's Song clan. Father commanded me to participate in the 100-pill meeting. This is my clan's seal. He fished out an engraved jade from his bosom. The leader looked over it and nodded. Meanwhile, his men rummaged through the carriage and they too nodded. Fine, you can go. But if you catch sight of this man, notify us at once. The man gave the youth a sidelong glance as he handed over a roll of paper before leaving. Once the men were out of sight, the youth regarded the unfolded paper with a sneer. It was the Hell Kill order on Zhua Fan along with an impeccable drawing of his features. On the bottom of the paper, rewards were stated. Anyone who provided clues to his whereabouts could become a vassal to Hell Valley, and whoever brings his head could become the foremost among all of Hell Valley's vassal clans. Humph, they really can't see beyond their nose. How can you find someone you don't even recognize? He mocked as he rolled the kill order into a ball before throwing it away. Indeed, this youth was Zhua Fan. After damning the Chi clan, he was aware that everyone in the Tianyu Empire would be privy to his face. So he refined a little pill that turned him into Songyu and resumed his way to Drifting Flower City. This would work wonders in searching for treasures unperturbed by narrow-minded fools. And wearing the Song clan young master's identity would also leave Hell Valley grasping straws. As he entered the city, he realized how grand it was. A perfect match for the headquarters of Drifting Flowers Edifice. It was a city, true, but it was 10 times more expansive than an average city. By contrast, Windgaze City and Blue Expanse City looked like towns. Especially when it came to the people on the streets. There were many young masters of clans wandering about, but the difference was they were all from first-rate clans. These young heirs were more important than the clan head or elders of a third-rate clan. This made the third-rate young master, whom Zhua Fan was impersonating, look like a beggar. With a bitter smile, he snapped the reins for picking up speed. He'd best find lodgings fast or he'd feel dwarfed in this crowd. He assumed that posing as Songyu was a walk in the park. But now that he got here, he knew that third-rate clansmen were a rarity as most of the people in the city were from the second and first-rate clans. Instead of blending in, I became the odd one out. Zhua Fan's carriage creaked down the street before finally stopping in front of a tavern. Owner, do you have a room available? Zhua Fan asked the man at the counter. The man looked up, then returned to counting his profit. Hey, now you really aren't looking beyond your nose. Zhua Fan was getting irate fast and slapped the counter as he roared. Do you have a room or not? You think I don't have the coin for it? Looking up at him again, the owner said in a laid-back manner, "Show me the clan seal." Zhuofan was a bit shocked at this. Even a shop owner asks for it now. But he still chose to take it out. The owner got one look at it and jeered. "Yeah, just the Song clan, a third-rate clan. And what's wrong with that? Didn't you open this establishment to make money? Are mine unwelcome here?" Shaking his head, the owner patted Zhuofan's shoulder, and impersonating a wise sage, he counseled, "Young man, there's a rundown hut 3 miles out. It won't charge you a dime." Zhuofan blinked in shock. Then rage burned in his eyes. "Owner, even I know those are the slums. Even if I come from a third-rate clan, I am still a guest in your tavern and should be treated as one." The owner sighed but didn't pay him any more heed. Then sudden laughter drifted over. "Ha ha, Song you hick. You came for the 100-pill meeting without even knowing the rules of Drifting Flower City?" Zhuofan's heart seized. How come the first place I visit, someone ends up recognizing Song Yu? He saw a flashy young master coming down the stairs with 4 elders in tow, bone-tempering experts. That person himself was at the 5th layer of bone-tempering stage. On his left was a cute young lady, not a beauty but one worthy of appreciation. But the lady only looked at Zhuofan with despise. Zhuofan narrowed his eyes as his mind was going a mile a minute in his curses. "Damn brat, you got what you deserved. I spent half a month traveling with you, yet you didn't say anything about the ones you know here. I should have seen this coming." In any case, the young master saw Zhuofan keyed up and laughed. "Brat, are you still a scaredy cat? No wonder my little sister doesn't like you." As if on cue, the lady snorted. Zhuofan licked his dry lips in embarrassment and said, Brother is quite right. Since you do not welcome me, I shall leave." "Hey, wait." Just as Zhuofan was planning on leaving, the young master called out to him, his face tinted in suspicion. "Strange, something is off with you today. What brother this and that, why are you calling me in such an odd way?" Zhuofan secretly cursed his bad luck, thinking he was exposed. If that happened, Hell Valley would come storming in and his plans would go up in smoke. All the more reason he was itching to snap this punk's neck. "Oh right." The young master interrupted his inner cursing by coming up with a seamless explanation. "Don't tell me you're still mad that Warner turned down your marriage proposal and ruined your self-esteem. Are you so petty to be still brooding over it after all this time?" When he heard this, Zhuofan's eyes sparkled and his heart leaped. It was as if he was grasping straws while drowning and finally found purchase. He instantly changed his demeanor and faked anger. "Humph, don't mention it then. We are done here. I don't want to see you guys ever again." "Sai, this is where you are wrong. Why are you dragging me into yours and my sister's problems?" The young master shook his head. Then his eyes shifted as he said in an understanding tone, "Don't forget, we are close as brothers, lifting our spears together and together This Zhuofan understood perfectly. The way he looks, he must be a second-rate clan's young master. How did Song Yu get to befriend him? And by the looks of things, they're buddy-buddy too. Then again, this might not be so bad. Zhuofan's lascivious smile mimicked his. A real man doesn't boast about his past glory. You don't need to say it. What? I last longer than you by far. I can take 8 rounds while you only 5. The young master then made an obvious gesture towards Zhuofan. If not for his sister's presence, he'd be going in much more gory details. Sigh, those 3 days and 3 nights were a bliss. Zhuofan saw his intoxicated face and adjusted accordingly. Though the lady there stated her disagreement with her disgusted reply, "Gross." She then proceeded to walk out of the tavern and let the 2 perverts to their vile imagination. Chapter 91 Chit Chat. Chapter 91 Chit Chat. Oh, P4553R. Zhuofan and the young master were like best pals now, chit-chatting what all young men talked about those days. This worked to Zhuofan's advantage, finding all the particularities regarding Song Yu's past. Dongtianba belonged to an average-sized town's leading clan, considered a second-rate clan in the empire, but far stronger than the Song clan. Not too long ago, Dongtianba's father sent him on business to Nitrain City, where this young master hit it right off with the dastardly Song Yu. The moment Song Yu found that his friend was from a second-rate clan, He took it in stride, drinking and going to pleasure houses, not forgetting to act the haughty part that deigned his new position, and all of this alongside his friend. It went so far that Dong Tianba was even planning on giving his sisters, Dong Xiaowan, hand in marriage to Songyu. Songyu was close to going crazy from joy, as that was the greatest gift any from the Song clan would want. As all was said and done, he went straight to proposing. Unfortunately, Dong Xiaowan was the only daughter of the Dong clan, the apple of her grandfather's eye, so how could he let Dong Tianba decide her fate? As a result, when his grandfather found Songyu's social standing, his dastardly moral talent, the grandfather catapulted him out of his home and even rebuked his grandson. As for Dong Xiaowan, she never forgave her dear elder brother for bringing up such a proposal. I am your sister and you want to throw me to that pig. He is a greedy slacker. While the Dong clan saw Songyu for what he was, a sorry excuse of a man, Dong Tianba found him as his dearest of friends, going out with every chance he got. What greedy slacker? He is true to himself, unlike those hypocritical gentlemen. Dong Tianba recalled that encounter with a smile, feeling he let down his dear friend in Nitrain City. It was also thanks to him for having notified the Song clan of the 100-pill meeting that they sent Songyu to the gathering. He hoped Songyu would use this chance to climb the ranks and dismiss the Dong clan's despising glances. With a bit of luck, the Song clan would be under Drifting Flower's edifice's care, and the Dong clan would have nothing to say if he asked for Dong Xiaowan's hand again. Xuefan gave a bitter smile at the side. This is one odd elder brother. The rotten Songyu just invited him to a drink a couple of times, and he is ready to throw his sister in the former's lap. If I were the Dong grandfather, I would have tanned his rear to a paste. Furthermore, how come you push your sister on others you like while you yourself are unmarried? Xuefan shook his head, worried over the happiness of the Dong clan and Dong Tianba's sister. Even the four elders behind them were red-faced with humiliation from having such a weirdo for a young master. They even looked around at times to make sure no one heard him. Xuefan sighed. Birds of a feather flock together. Bro Song. Dong Tianba beckoned him with a strange smile. Where's your sister? Xuefan replied. She left after bringing me here. I made sure to personally see her off. He had an ineffable smile when he said, personally. But it went over Dong Tianba's head, who was downcast. And I really wanted to gaze upon Miss Song one more time. I would have long sent the dowry if not for my old man refusing to have anything to do with your clan. Ha ha ha, the world houses countless beauties, Bro Dong needn't hang on just one. Xuefan smiled. My sister doesn't deserve you. Look around, there are countless girls in Drifting Flower City to feast your eyes on. Sigh Bro Song, you wouldn't understand. You can't touch any of the girls here. Dong Tianba made sure no one was around before whispering, don't you know that the Drifting Flowers edifice is unique among the 7 houses for only having women? For 1,000 years, they had men marry into their house. This is a place where women reign. Does that mean you can't even chase girls? Dong Tianba had a deep look this time. Bro, how come I feel like I know you less and less? Don't you know chasing and harassing have different meanings? Xuefan laughed in dismay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Bro Dong is a genius. Haha, we both are. Didn't we used to swap pointers? How could you forget? Must be from the blow my sister's refusal gave you that you succumbed to your vices. Xuefan nodded repeatedly. Dong Tianba was an oddball, but quite true to others. Talking with him all this time made Xuefan feel at ease. By the way, Brother Dong, what other rules are there? Like this tavern? Almost forgot. Dong Tianba spoke in a heavy tone. Because of the massive influx of people throughout the 100-pill meeting, the Drifting Flowers edifice has laid some rules regarding lodging. The third-rate clans are to stay in the poor district. The second-rate clans in the taverns, and the first-rate clans are welcomed by the 15 floor keepers. The 7 noble houses. There are people from the 7 noble houses here? Xuefan raised a question. Dong Tianba nodded. That is only natural. The 7 houses might be plotting and scheming among each other, but Drifting Flowers edifice is neutral. It is expected for 2-3 houses to be here, welcomed personally by the edifice lord. At the very least, Hell Valley is certain to be here. Xuefan gasped. That explained the Hell Valley's disciples at the gate. They weren't purposely placed in every city for searching him in particular, but because they followed someone important from their house to participate in the 100-pill meeting. The one who must be representing Hell Valley had to be an elder, or maybe their valley lord. Who came from Hell Valley? Zhuo Fan asked frantically. Wrinkling his brows, Dong Tianba shook his head. But then a man burst through the door huffing, "Young master, the young miss is in trouble." Dong Tianba jumped to his feet and rushed with the 4 elders. Zhuo Fan was right behind them. They arrived at a market. There were many people standing at the sideline in silence. A fine and charming lady stood in front of a stall, holding a delicate piece of jewelry. Her phoenix eyes darted towards the crying woman on the ground. Dong Xiaowan's cheeks were swollen as tears streamed her stinging face. Anyone there would realize she was slapped, and not just once or twice. Dong Tianba hurried to help his sister as he roared, "Xiaowan, what happened? Who did this?" "Brother, let's just go." Dong Xiaowan held in her sobs while taking a side glance at the stuck-up lady in red. "Who said you can leave?" the lady said with malice. Her sharp eyes stabbed like swords and made Dong Xiaowan shiver. "I told you to slap yourself 100 times. Aren't you skipping some from 30? No matter who you think you are, I can make your whole clan burn if I want to." Crestfallen and shivering, Dong Xiaowan started slapping herself and her already swollen face began growing redder and bulgier along with the tears of humiliation. Dong Tianba grabbed her hands and snapped, "Xiaowan, stop! Why are you doing this?" "Brother, it's all my fault," Dong Xiaowan cried. "I wanted to buy that item, but she..." Dong Tianba heard it clearly even if her voice trailed off. He turned his flaming eyes of rage to the lady in red. "I get that you wanted to take the jewelry from my sister's hand, but why do you have to be so heavy-handed?" "Ha ha ha," I asked her politely, but she kept being rude to me and didn't know what's good for her. The lady mocked and threw the jewelry to the ground in spite. Now I lost all interest in it. So how can I not teach her manners for this? The lady's naked contempt made Dong Tianba spit words through gritted teeth. "Bitch, I will make you regret this, or my name isn't Dong Tianba." He then went charging over. With how the lady was but in the 9th layer of qi condensation, his power was more than enough to deal with her. Unfortunately, a gale stopped him as a white figure flashed in front of him. Bam! The noise echoed around as Dong Tianba was sent flying into the air and in his previous place landed a handsome youth in white, fanning himself. 7th layer of bone tempering stage. Such a disciple was considered the cream of the crop among the 7 houses. Zhuo Fan's eyelid trembled and his feet moved. Dong Tianba and his 4 elders were nowhere near enough to deal with the newcomer. If he was impassive, this pair of siblings would experience a world of hurt today. But if he did act, he would earn a world of trouble, affecting his plans. But this bitch was too ruthless. She was asking for a beating. Not even he, a demonic emperor, could take this lying down. When all was said and done, some things couldn't be held in. This was his demonic path. Chapter 90 Only a game. Chapter 92 Only a game. Oh, P4553R. Dandan, what happened? The white youth turned a blind eye to Dong Tianba and focused on the red lady. She, on the other hand, had only naked disdain for the Dong clan. Nothing of importance, just some blind dogs yapping at my feet. Oh, they must be truly ignorant to offend Peony Edifice's Grand Miss Xiao, ha ha ha, the youth mocked. His words caused widespread shock, especially to Dong Tianba. What? The Peony Edifice? Belonging to the Drifting Flowers Edifice? Dong Tianba looked towards his terrified sister in a daze. That was why his sister was so set on bearing this humiliation. No one from the 7 noble houses could be offended, or one's entire clan would go extinct. Wonder how? Dong Tianba sighed at his tear-stained sister, feeling how wrong she was. Xiao Dandan couldn't care less for their plight and glared at Dong Tianba. Weren't you about to hit me? Well, what's stopping you? Dong Tianba's body shivered and started to regret his transgression. I was at fault for not noticing your grandeur and offending Miss in my rash action. Please pardon me. Pardon, how are you guilty? Xiao Dandan sneered. You just said that I coveted your sister's item and then humiliated her. Sticking out for her is only normal, but do you have the strength to back it up? Gnashing his teeth, Dong Tianba cupped his hands. Miss lesson is that I am powerless and still dared to strike. He then slapped himself 6 times and his face swelled. The people around shook their heads. Stumbling upon any from the 7 houses was bound to bring humiliation to your entire clan. Humph, such filth, not in the least bit entertaining. Xiao Dandan grinned. Why are men such cowards, lacking the basic mettle to stand tall? Then she came up with a great idea that brought a smile to her lips. Brother Tianyu, why not have some fun with him? Dandan, what are you suggesting? The youth in white smiled. With a sweet smile, Xiao Dandan replied, this kid must be quite fond of his sister. You're quite able in martial arts and such an understanding character, so this should be convenient for you. If you can shred that girl's clothes under the protection of those 5 bone-tempering experts, she's yours to indulge in. The drifting flowers edifice will even turn a blind eye. What? Dong Xiaowan shivered and Dong Tianba's eyes were bloodshot. This was no longer picking on others but disgracing. Even if they were from the 7 houses, this was something the common people wouldn't stand for. Yet the youth in white waved her proposal off. Dandan, you've gravely misunderstood me. I come from Merrywoods, but that doesn't imply that I'm lecherous. You're making it hard for me to accomplish your request, huh? Your expression doesn't seem to be saying so. Fine, I don't mind it at all. So what are you worried about? I'll be yours next July anyway. You'll still get to join the Drifting Flowers edifice regardless. The youth in white rose an eyebrow, then turned an appreciative eye over Dong Xiaowan. Since Dandan requests it, I must comply. But keep in mind, this is only a game, so don't go settle the score later. Despicable. Xiao Dandan rose the corner of her mouth. The youth in white walked towards Dong Xiaowan, who shivered at each of his steps. Ha ha ha, I am Lin Tianyu of Merrywoods, a future son-in-law of Drifting Flowers edifice. As you heard, I'm not lecherous and an insufferable bully. It is you who offended my future wife and have to be punished for your transgression. Young Master Lin, Dong Tianba said in pain, I am well aware of misgame and I would like to know if, by some fluke, we can stop your advance. Lin Tianyu just let out a mocking laughter and Xiao Dandan replied instead, if you can, then this matter will end here and we shall never have anything to do with each other. Then please forgive this offense. Dong Tianba roared and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit, having heard what he wanted. Yet Lin Tianyu's contempt only grew. Good eyes, but... Whoosh! A figure flitted by and Lin Tianyu was already behind Dong Xiaowan. His hand even held the delicate clothes of the latter. Too bad you're so weak. Ah! Dong Xiaowan cried as she covered her shoulder in tears. She was wearing 5 articles of clothing, and one was gone just like that, revealing the white and delicate skin beneath. Dong Tianba turned in shock. Lin Tianyu's speed was incredible, but Zhuo Fan only smirked. This kid is in the 7th layer of bone tempering stage, but his power is only in the 6th layer. His focus must be on speed. This was a typical case of putting the cart before the horse. No matter how fast you were, if you couldn't harm your opponent, it was useless. And he was already weaker than others by 1 layer. The more he'd advance, the more the gap would widen. To Zhuo Fan, such a cultivator was no different from a cripple. No wonder the Merrywoods sent him to marry into Drifting Flowers edifice. However, this was privy to an expert's eyes alone. Dong Tianba was nowhere near that level, as he was even standing around scared from the display of speed. Elders, surround my sister! Dong Tianba shouted at the 4 elderly. They immediately formed a circle with Dong Xiaowan in their center, their eyes fixed on Lin Tianyu. With a vicious smile, Lin Tianyu said, it's no use. The 5 of you won't even see my shadow. A series of booms were heard and Dong Xiaowan cried out once again. Her 2nd article was removed, even under heavy guard. Dong Tianba couldn't accept this outcome. They were both in bone tempering stage, yet there was such a gap between them. Ah, what a soothing perfume! Lin Tianyu sniffed hard at the clothing in his hand and was intoxicated by the fragrance. If the 2nd clothing is so refreshing, I'm eager to know how Miss Underwear is like. Dong Xiaowan let out a shiver and cried in fear, brother! I will definitely protect you. Dong Tianba mustered his courage with a roar and set his eyes on Lin Tianyu's every move. Although he wished to marry her off to the useless Songyu, It was because he knew the later wasn't evil. However, anyone who dared to harm his sister would earn his wrath. Are you done? Hurry it up. Seeing Lin Tianyu showing his true colors, Xiao Dandan spat with revulsion. Lin Tianyu nodded while tucking the clothing in his chest and vanished. The next moment, his hand was holding another piece of clothing. And with it, Dong Xiaowan was shamed even further. Plop! Dong Tianba fell to his knees, powerless and helpless. He is so fast that I can't even see him. Wan, or forgive me, your brother is unable to protect you. Dong Tianba sobbed. Dong Xiaowan watched him in sorrow and closed her eyes, resigned to her fate. The four elders were also aggrieved. In this game of cat and mouse they were left without any dignity. It would have been better to die than suffer like this. Then sudden footsteps were heard and a figure overshadowed Dong Tianba. He looked up, only to find Zhuo Fan looking at him. Bro Dong, how about you leave the last try to me? Who are you? Xiao Dandan cut Dong Tianba off before he could speak. Scratching his nose, Zhuo Fan pointed at Dong Xiaowan. Ha ha ha. I'm her husband. What? Seeing the widespread shock, Zhuo Fan rushed to explain. No, she is my wife. What's the difference? The crowd exclaimed. Scratching his head, Zhuo Fan mused a bit and explained. Well, I did go to her clan to propose but was refused. Does that make me an ex-husband? What ex? You were clearly kicked out. Everyone looked at him in contempt. Xiao Dandan even mocked. Fine then. Another bone-tempering moron won't change a thing. Plus, seeing your dearly beloved ravaged before your eyes is even more appealing. Ha ha ha, I don't mind as long as Dandan doesn't. One more would hardly matter. Lin Tianyu boasted. Standing back up, Dong Tianba looked at Zhuo Fan gravely. Bro, you don't need to involve yourself in this. Ha ha, bro Dong, we aren't strangers but close pals. Of course I'll help you. This earned a nod of approval from the people. I knew you are a good man who knows loyalty. Dong Tianba was moved to tears. Zhuo Fan then gazed at Dong Xiaowan with a smile of reassurance. Don't worry, he won't touch you ever again. She thought Zhuo Fan was using this chance to take advantage of her. But his clear eyes evoked unknown feelings in her heart. Zhuo Fan now turned to Lin Tianyu and stuck out his hand. Come. Lin Tianyu's smile of mockery froze on his face and was soon replaced by rage. He felt Zhuo Fan was looking down on him. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.